right, here we go. Carlos Mencia, welcome back to VladTV.
You know what, dude? I didn't realize your reach, bro. I've had a lot of people talk to me about you. You got to go back on Vlad. You got to get him Vlad. You know, so I was like, okay. I was on it already. What? I missed it. I got to go check it out. So you're somebody out there, bro. You're somebody out there. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're somebody out there, bro. That's it. And you're somebody that people want me to kind of be a part of with you. So this is really cool. Look, people don't understand the way I show humility because it's hard when you're an entertainer, especially when you're a comedian, because, you know, we have to be very secure about how we tell stuff and, you know, but I get giddy, stuff like that. Like, I'm always like, man, that was cool. That was sweet. They didn't have to do that. That was kind. I appreciate it. But it's usually off air when people don't see it. You know what I mean? So I guess I need to learn how to do that better. Anyway.
Well, today is September 11th, and last night was the Trump-Kamala Harris debate.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of it?
I have to. I have to.
That's your job.
Yeah. Though he's such a divider, right? Like, he's such a divisive character. So I made fun of every president during my lifetime, whoever it was. Doesn't matter who it was. If I had stand-up, I did a joke about him at some point. But I remember that during Trump's presidency, I was performing in Rothschild, Wisconsin. And they gave me a call and they said, are you going to be doing Trump jokes? And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, literally the minute you're saying, Carlos Mencia, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, every show is completely different. Why? What are you asking that for? People called and asked. Most of them said, my friends that we're bringing in are big Trump fans, or my dad's a big Trump fan, or, you know, something like that. And we're not going to go. And I said, look, I can't tell you what I'm going to do. But the minute I went on stage, of course, I confronted them about that. And ever since him, it's just become such a divisive thing to talk about that kind of stuff that I stay away from it. But there was one thing yesterday that I was like, that I can do a joke about freely.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're about to say.
No, it's not even that one, bro.
That one? Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
It's when Trump said these immigrants are coming to America in droves. Some of them don't even know what country they're in. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. They all know what country they're in. Really? Like, we dream in other countries when we're poor of coming to America. I've lived in these places. Nobody would ever end up in America as an immigrant and be like, so where are we? Like, that would never. We plan on coming here. We know. As a matter of fact, in a little village where I come from in Honduras, I and my mother literally taught these Hondurans how to speak Spanish with a Mexican accent so that if they get caught crossing the border, they don't get sent all the way back to Honduras. They get sent back to Mexico. Like, that's how aware these people are of where they're coming. And that was the one. The one about the dogs and pets and all that stuff, that's so easy. I'm like, that's stuff that I might do the night of. Like, if I had a set last night, I would have done it. And then maybe I would have continued for a couple. But those are jokes that I like staying away from now because I know that they're just so rich that the internet's going to pick it up immediately. Comedians are going to pick it up immediately. By today, there are thousands or possibly millions of posts and quotes and videos. And some comedian had a spot last night somewhere in America where he talked about it. And so as fun as it is, it's just like, too many people are talking about that. Now let's move on to something else.
Well, yeah, because Trump said that immigrants in Ohio are abducting and eating dogs and cats.
Pets.
Right.
He first said cats, then he said dogs, then he said pets.
Right.
And they were Haitians. And then he talked about how they were eating the geese or something like that from some pond somewhere. But supposedly that hasn't happened. Here's what I know. There are places you can go to see it. And this is how you know America is a great, wealthy nation. Go to a place like Ybor City, right? Ybor City literally has signs that tell you to be careful not to run over the chickens and the roosters. And they're everywhere, bro. Like, that's how you know the country where you live in. In Honduras, they would all be eaten, bro. Where I come from, oh, bro. Somebody would be like, whose chicken is that? Oh, that's nobody's. Oh, you're right there, on spot. Boom, done, dead. But But that's what we do. Listen, see, that's one of those things where it's like, when you've been along, I'm sure that some 22-year-old, 20-something-year-old comedian would be like, can you believe this? I've been around way too long. This is what we've been talking about forever. Way back in the days, it was don't eat the tacos, there's cat meat in it. There were jokes about I was in East LA and I ate a burrito, it was delicious. Then I saw a dog walk away with one missing leg. You know what I mean? In Tijuana, there, you know, it's not a rooster, it's a whatever. Like that's always been the case with immigrants who are scary and they're coming and they're changing everything and oh, they're gonna make America blah blah blah, whatever it is. That's been happening since what? Since the influx of
forever.
Whoever it was, right?
Yes.
It was either the mix, you know what I mean? And from there forth. I used to do a bit about it back in the day where I used to say to people like, look, every group in this country has been messed with. Nobody gets in for free. The Americans are like a fraternity. You just got to get, I'm sure those Haitians are like, we didn't do shit. We're just trying to come to a better country because our country had an earthquake and it literally fell apart. Like the entire infrastructure fell apart. You can't blame them for trying to come here. I mean, you can do whatever to kick them out if that's what you feel like doing. That's fine. But you can't hate on why they're here, right? Because through whatever lineage we have in this country, excepting black Africans who came here during slavery, we all trying to leave some crappy country, come to a great country. All of us were. Like, none of us were different. The only difference is that after Ellis Island, it started to become legals and illegals and, you know, there were paths to citizenship. But, you know, I was just in Oklahoma and they took us to, you know, showed us some of the places that they gave away for free. They basically told people, come to America, we took the land. Just took the land and said it's for free. And ironically, you go there now and our homage to the natives is a few casinos and a bunch of words, you know, to streets that you can't describe because they're Native American driven. But it's always been the case. You know what I mean? These people are scary. They eat this. I'm surprised that they're Haitian and they didn't talk about voodoo or something like that. That's what I was like missing. Like, did they eat them or were they sacrificed? Like, that would have been funny if you would have been like, I don't even know if they're eating them. They might be sacrificing them. You know, these people do voodoo. That would have been great. That would have been awesome that Trump said that.
Well, on the internet, someone had posted a picture and they said, wow, Trump is right. I just went to 7-Eleven in Springfield, Ohio to get some gas and a hot dog.
And they put the dog in the middle of the bun. That's all, the weenie dog.
Yeah, man, Trump is right. They're actually eating dogs in Springfield, Ohio.
That is all.
With the bun and all.
They're taking dogs and eating dogs. But what I love today, that was different from before, is that when I was growing up, when people presented information to you that was credible, we kind of all went, all right, well, shit, I didn't know that, right? We're living in an age today where when you do hear somebody saying that, all you have to do is question where the information comes from. That's all you have to do. Because people want to believe X more than they want to believe institutions, right? Because we don't trust the institutions. We don't trust the big corporations, the Fox, the CNNs, and you know what I mean? And even though I think Fox News might be one of the most watched in America, they pretend that they're not, right? That's how they do it. They're like, hey, we're not big media. We're the little company. You're the biggest one on the market right now. We're the tiny guys. Wait a minute. Look at how they're treating us. You know, it's all about creating that that thing. And yet it's just like afterwards they asked a bunch of his pundits, you know, after the debates, you know, during the questions and all that kind of stuff in the spin room. And they were all like, well, no, there's people that said it. It's like, listen, we talked to the people in government who these people would complain to. They have received 0 complaints. No 911 calls, nothing. Well, that's not true. Yeah, because I know people that were on TV, and that's it. And and people just go, yeah, they're right. I saw it on TV. We're so fucking gullible. So gullible.
I remember in your older stand-up special when, you know, one of your friends said, hey, do you like, Obama or do you like Bush? And you're like, well, at least there is a president. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, Honduras, our president just disappeared.
It had happened. Like literally.
That's a real thing?
Yes. Literally happened in Honduras, bro. They woke up one day, tried to look for the president, couldn't find him. He had just disappeared.
Gone.
Like literally just gone. Didn't leave a message, didn't say I'm going anywhere, just gone.
Did they ever find him?
Yeah, they found him, a few weeks or months later, but by then the story was dead, but that was the joke.
Where did they find him, though? I mean, like, for a president to just disappear for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a normal thing.
No, that's
okay,
not.
if a janitor disappeared for a month, there'd be a big deal about it. Hey, where's Frank? Like,
but see, over there,
the toilets are dirty.
Yeah, but over there it's normal. Like over there, crap like that is like whatever. It doesn't matter. See, that's the thing about most Americans don't know what happens outside of this country. Like, first of all, I took a test to become a citizen.
Yeah, me too.
I believe that statistics say that about 10% of Americans would pass that test. And I would, 10% sounds about right, give or take, right? But like, they wouldn't be able to say how many senators there are. That's the easy one, by the way. Or how many governors there are. Another simple one. How many representatives? Okay, that one I get. It's a little more complicated. Most people, 13 colonies, stuff like that. But most people want simple headlines, right? Like want simple stuff. It's most people don't want to read the entire article. Most people don't want to go into depth into the entire thing. You know what I mean? And it happens everywhere, by the way, because it's clickbait. It's trying to find media. Like, I know this kid who plays soccer. Long story short, he encountered some racism in Spain. Mentioned it, talked about it. People then saw it. And he did an interview the other day where he said, look, the majority of people in Spain are not racist. The majority of people in Spain don't feel this way. But there is a problem at stadiums with people, yelling out the N-word, and they're doing it at me, and they're doing it at others. And if you guys don't fix this, maybe they should think about taking the World Cup away in 2030. Well, okay. So anyway, he said, not the majority of people. He said, a vast minority of people do it. He said, it's not a racist country. All right. What were the headlines in Spain? Vinicius Jr. says we're a racist country and that we don't deserve it. He obviously didn't say that, but that's not going to get the clickbait. That's not going to get the thing. And so, and I read the entire article because I'm like, okay, let me hear the context of what he said, right? Like what? Plus, this is what happens though. Like instead of going, oh shit, he's saying that we have racism at stadiums and people are chanting out the N-word, that we should get rid of those people and we have 5 years to do it. Okay, we can fix that problem easily. Yeah, no problem. Done said. Instead of fighting with the guy, oh, he doesn't want the World Cup to come. This is what's happening in the world. And I love it because it allows me to be able to do comedy right now that changes people's minds, that really, really affects people in a way that I want it to. And sometimes we were talking earlier, it takes a minute for it to grasp. But one of the first things I say when I go on stage is, usually it's worded this way. If my opening acts said anything at all that you found cringeworthy or offensive, even remotely offensive, you need to get the fuck out of the show right now. Like, just leave. Just go. I don't care about your feelings. They're not important to me. Because, and I say this, if the worst thing that happened to you today is that I said something inappropriate, you are one of the luckiest human beings in the world, that you live in a country so amazing that your problems are sound waves that travel through the air that you interpreted in whatever shitty way you wanted to. That's on you, not me. That's your issue, not mine. And then, I go through, what if you lived here? This would. What if you lived there? What if you lived there? Famine, poverty, rape, abductions, like all this stuff. Those are real problems, and our problems in America. Carlos told a joke. Like, really? That's it.
No, I remember you went into your comedy special about how everyone in this country complains, but everyone here has air conditioning. Go to like certain parts of Mexico or South America or even parts of Europe, no air conditioning.
True. In Africa, we were in Africa, one of the hottest places in the world. And they were looking at me like I was an asshole for asking for air conditioning. And like it's some special thing. I'm like, it's not. In America, it's not special.
It's regular.
As a matter of fact, so many people have ACs that when it gets hot, they tell us to try not to use it too much because you're going to mess up the power grid.
Right.
Like, that's how many of us have it.
Trailer parks have air conditioning.
The ice, though. The ice one? The ice joke in that?
Yeah.
The ice joke in that, bro, still to this day, I will get pictures on Instagram of somebody showing me a pile of ice in one of those machines where you dispense to show people that that's the actual case. So
right, let's just talk about that joke for those that didn't see it. Basically, you were talking about how you were in Paris and they only give you 3 ice cubes.
If you ask for ice.
Yes.
If you don't ask for ice.
You get no ice.
They don't give you ice, right? And then you ask for ice and they look at you like, oh, the American is here. Oh, look, it's the American. He wants the ice. Hey, this him. This asshole. And you're like, why are you looking at me like I'm a dick? I'm just asking for ice. It's not that big a deal. But it is for them. Mm-hmm. And so I said, and so I told this guy, like, why are you treating me like this? And I speak well enough French that I said it in French so that I wouldn't be the regular American going over there and saying, I want ice. And he basically said to me, like, the only people that ask for ice are Americans. Why? Because you think you're better? And my explanation to them was like, it's the opposite, dude. In America, there's ice everywhere. Mm-hmm. In America, as a matter of fact, when we go to our shittiest restaurants, they don't give us ice or a beverage. They literally give us an empty cup. And we walk over to this magical machine that when you put it in, the ice just pours out of it. And this is really true. The majority of the time, it pours out so fast that by the time you pull it out, there's too much ice. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and it was like, well, what do you do with it? I go, you know what we do with the extra ice? We pour it out. We literally just pour it out because that's how much ice we have. We don't just save it and go, oh, I got to keep it. We just go, oh, I can get some more in a second. No worries. No problems. We're good to go. Yeah, but those jokes were in 2010, right? And those jokes were meant to, because I had seen the turn of people really beginning to take America for granted, of immigrants, right? Forgetting to tell their kids their stories, right? Of immigrants not taking their kids back to the countries of origin to see what it's like, right? To see how it is. It's kind of like Mexican. My mom's Mexican, my dad's Honduran, and I was born in Honduras, but I came here when I was little tiny, about 7 months old.
I thought you were from Germany. I thought that's what people
said. No. Fuck yeah, I'm German. You know when I hear that I'm German, I swear to God, I've been to Germany, and for the life of me, nobody spoke German to me. Like there wasn't one person that was like, "Oh, you are back. You are back." Like nobody did. Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that, and sometimes I fall into this trap really quickly and then taking myself out of it. When I've seen young comedians who are really, really funny, and for just a millisecond, just for like a quick, because I'm a human being, that little side of me goes, yeah, but look at the kind of comedy they're doing. And I catch myself and I go, no, dude, don't be those guys. Don't be that guy. I tell jokes the way I tell jokes. Let's not just respect it, but look at it like in awe that I probably sometimes can't even do jokes the way they do it, right? Mm-hmm. Like there are comedians that can just stand there, not even hold a microphone in their hand, not raise their voice, and are funny as hell. I can't do that. You gotta give me a microphone and most likely a corded one so I could use the cord to throw stuff or hang stuff or use stuff. I need the prop, right? Give me that prop. I gotta walk around the stage. I gotta jump. I gotta inflect. I gotta scream. I gotta pull out every comedic stop that I possibly can. But I catch myself sometimes, going, oh, he's got a guitar. Stop, dude. Stop yourself. And so I would imagine that, somebody sees me get a standing ovation talking about stuff that they don't want me to talk about. There's got to be a reason, right? He's not Latino, right? He's not like the he's not Latino one is amazing to me. I was born in Honduras and I speak Spanish, so it's almost like, but it also made me a better comedian, especially in the last decade, because now I'm able to bring people into the fold in a way that I wouldn't have before, and I find myself being very grateful for having that. But anyway, the whole Mexican thing, right? When I was here in America as a kid, everybody called me Mexican. Everybody. Mexicans call me Mexican. When I would try to tell, like, my friends, like, I was born in Honduras. Shut up, stupid. You're Mexican. You know what you are. We're going to go get tacos and burritos and mole and pozole, and you're going to ask your mom to put a foot in it. You're goddamn Mexican, bro. Okay. But then when we went to Mexico, they were like, you're not Mexican, right? You're American. You're not Mexican. So over there they call us pochos, which means you're of Mexican descent, but you're not a Mexican. So then I was like, well, at least I'm Honduran. Then I go to Honduras, like, you're not Honduran, right? But I was born here. Whatever. Semantics. You're not from here, dude. So I was never an American. I was never Mexican. I was never Honduran. I've always been a little bit of all of it. But it has helped my stand-up in the sense that without even trying, I see the world from many different perspectives immediately, whatever that stuff is. And this stuff about not taking America for granted, especially back then, was like trying to tell people, like, look, man, we're headed toward a place where all we do is criticize this country. All we do is talk about the negative, and nobody celebrates the positive. And I know there's a positive. Travel. Go to other countries, and then when you come back, that weird phenomenon that happens, that doesn't happen domestically. Might have happened once that I can remember, but outside of that, I go to Mexico, come back, the minute the plane lands, everybody claps.
Yeah.
Went to Cuba, came back, plane landed, everybody clapped. Why are they clapping? They're clapping because you don't realize how amazing America is until you leave and you ask for napkins at a McDonald's with an S, because they don't have them out there. Because in whatever country I was in, might have been Honduras, they don't have extra money for you to take them. So they're not going to put them out there for somebody to just grab them. So you got to ask for them. When you say napkins, they give me a napkin.
No,
They gave me a and I was like, I said, they were like, and then I watched everybody and I went, oh my God, I am an American. And here's how I noticed. They all were eating their burgers. It was at a Burger King. And with the little piece of the corner would clean the edges of their mouth, right? And then they take another bite and use a little lower down. And they just keep going further down on the napkin and just having their mouths. And in my head, I was like, okay, I can't do that. But let me think of what I would do as America, how we would do it. And we would grab a whole napkin, go like this, put the napkin, and then grab the next one.
Right.
I go, okay, so that's what it is. That's how we are. That's where they are. But we take that for granted.
Yeah, I remember.
For granted.
I remember you had said in your special that everyone complains about America. You said when you see Cubans in Miami swimming back to Cuba, that's when you know that America is bad.
That's when you will know. You'll know today. The joke is you'll know America's broken when Puerto Ricans live in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Like that will be the sign of the apocalypse, or when nobody wants to come to America, right?
Yeah.
Like when somebody in Nicaragua is like, let's go to America, and the other guy is like, no, it's better to stay. Like that's the day where we're like, ooh, we gotta fix something, bro. Until then, but all of this is so good for us, right? It's so like I'm aware, okay, so just from a purely economical standpoint, take America. Our economy is based on a growth. 2% growth is mild, 4% growth is decent. And that applies to most companies, our GDP, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if most people in America know, but we Americans are a declining population. We have 1.7 children per couple. So for everybody that isn't a mathematician, for every 2 people that die, 1.7 people live. So 0.3 people deficit. So without immigration in this country, even that simple basic 2% growth thing would go away, and I don't even know what would happen to our stock market if we had a year of zero growth. And then it becomes cannibalization, right? It's where phone companies are. The majority of phone companies have somewhere between a 90 and a 90-something% rate of injection into where they are, right? So you take the city of Los Angeles, this many people above this age 15, 90% of them, 90-some% of them have phones. So you're not going to grow a market on 5%. So that's why you see those commercials. Bring your phone from another company. We'll take over. We'll take your stuff. Because at this point, it's all cannibalization of each other's and trying to get a bigger marketplace of one that isn't growing. So immigrants are necessary.
Yeah, well, I actually looked it up. The current U.S. population 2024 has a 0.53% increase from 2023. So about 0.5%.
Correct.
And they are saying that immigrants can reverse the potential decline.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not declining, but the growth is almost flat.
Yeah, but that growth is including, is it including immigrants that came here or just Americans itself?
I'm not sure.
Because I know for a fact that our birth rate, our American birth rate per couple is less than 2. So that is a declining population.
Yeah.
But even a 0.5 wouldn't be
it's
enough.
basically flat.
Correct. So we need these people.
Yeah.
We need them to come in here. But this is my point. Somebody convinced somebody that a wall is going to stop them. First of all, I do this as a joke, but come on. Nobody would ever walk to America over 1,000 miles from Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Like literally, these people literally walk the entire way. You really believe that that person is going to get to our border, see a wall and go, okay, let's go back. Like this is it. That's the end of it.
U-turn.
Oh man, there's a wall. Oh man, if only somebody had invented a ladder,
or a tunnel.
It's so simplistic and stupid. But here's the thing. We already have a law. Don't employ illegal immigrants. They don't employ themselves. This is us employing them. So if we don't want them here, stop employing them.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Right, but then tomatoes will cost $10.
Okay. And then 2 days later, we would all say, let's bring them back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's plus, it's like this whole thing like, an illegal alien took my job. I talk about this on stage. I go, how bad was your fucking interview? Like, can we talk about that part of this? I get that you're mad that somebody that's not legal took it, but the person can't speak English. You can. What did you say in English in Oklahoma that made them hire the guy that can't speak English? That's how bad your interview was. And so, I do this whole joke about this lady who really exists, by the way. And I've met 3 different versions of her. So you'll hear 3 different versions of it. First person I met was literally on Route 17, driving into the state of New York from Jersey. 5 exits on the right-hand side is a 24-hour McDonald's. And the lady's name was Mayra, all right? In Plano, Texas, off of the George Bush Highway and the Dallas Tollway North. On the eastern side, 3 exits on the right-hand side, there's another McDonald's. Her name is Maria. And off the 101 in Santa Maria, California, there's another lady named Maria. So it's Mayra, Maria, and Maria. All 3 of them. All 3 of them have really thick accents. All 3 of them tried to sell me creepy chicken. All 3 of them, all right? All 3 of them, instead of saying crispy, they were like creepy. So all 3 of them. And I do this whole joke about the whole story about it. But the part that I love, the part that I want to get to, is a part where my friends are like, that's the problem with these people. They come from other countries, they don't learn the language, and now we got to go somewhere to get food because she can't pronounce crispy chicken. And this is the part of the joke that I love. When they go, are you mad at her? And I say, no, I'm not mad at her because she's not the problem. She's a symptom of the problem. And they go, who are you mad at? I'm mad at every single American that applied for that job and was bested by her. That's who I'm mad at. I'm not mad at her. She was the best. I am mad at the interviews of the people that were so shitty that the McDonald's Corporation literally said, you know what? We're gonna sell creepy chicken and fellatio fish. By the way, she said fellatio fish. Fellatio fish. My black friend Randy yelled out, she got fish and sucking in the car. Real story, bro. And that's who I'm mad at. But what I love about that joke is that it brings people to a space that they don't think about often enough, right? That they don't process often enough, that they don't. So you talk about that special, another version of that joke today that I wouldn't do then, but that because of the time and now it's like, America's such a great country. Now it depends on how I set it up. Sometimes I set it up very contrived and I say, America's such an amazing country that we break laws of mathematics. We do things in America that are literally mathematically impossible. And then I say the joke. Sometimes I just go, you want to know how amazing America is? We have fat, poor people. Let them marinate in it. And then I do other stuff that reveals, like, go to your local university, walk into the math department, tell them America has fat, poor people. Can you figure out this equation? And it goes through a whole litany of things. But it's all about people, like, beginning to see the cool parts about America, instead of just everything sucks. Like, I do this one joke, and it was born from a buddy of mine who was talking so much about America that I recorded it. And I have a friend. He's a French Canadian, but he can speak with a very French accent. So I invited him to have a dinner with me and my friend who was saying all the stuff. I made my friend, who's an actor, memorize his entire speech. And while we were hanging out, just as friends, we started talking about America. And then he started saying all the that my friend was saying. And literally 2 to 3 sentences into how much America sucks, my friend was like, who the is your friend, bro? Why is he even here? Why is he here if that's what he thinks about this country? And I was like, I got you, bitch. I got you. Those are your words, dude. Those are your words that I recorded, and I pulled out the recording and I wrote them down and I showed them to him and I told him to say that just because I wanted to see your face, how full of shit you are about what you're saying about this country. Now, let him keep talking. And he was like, dude, point taken. I don't want to hear that. It really triggered me, bro. It pissed me off. I was about to punch him in the face. I was like, well, now you know. Now this is it. So I love doing that stuff.
Well, sometimes the jokes write themselves. Recently, 50 Cent had his Humor and Harmony weekend in Shreveport, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with this, right?
Yes.
And one of the artists from Shreveport, Hurricane Chris, got really upset and did a whole video basically calling out 50 Cent for not having Shreveport artists, paid to perform and everything else like that. And there was a whole back and forth that went on over this. And recently, 50 Cent just posted this clip. I interviewed Hurricane Chris, and he was talking about how Louisiana has the 4th lowest education system in America. And this is how it came out.
Louisiana got the 4th worst educational system in America. 4th worst out of all 50 states.
50 Cent reposted this.
Oh God. You gotta, and here's my problem with stuff like that. My problem with stuff like jokes like that is that
it wasn't a joke.
It's not a joke.
He was actually
it's real.
serious.
But if people that are not black start making fun of that, it all of a sudden becomes like, hey, why are you punching down? You've heard that. Punching down.
Yeah, I've been accused of this.
Punching up. I don't understand what that means.
Look, Hurricane Chris just basically stumbled his words.
Sure, but it's funny as hell.
He's a smart guy.
Sure.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And I was going to correct him, but I'm like, I'm just going to let this fly and see what happens.
Not.
And see what happens.
Of course you gotta do
And
it.
when he's commenting about it, he said, oh, yeah, no, I stumble my words a little bit and so forth. Of course, 50's having a whole field day with it.
Of course it is,
and
but you gotta do that, and that's what you gotta do, and that's funny and whatnot. But look, I do this. Something liberated comedically a couple of years ago, ish, and I'm a different comedian today. I have always been sensitive as a comedian to the envelope, so to speak, when it comes to pushing the envelope. I'll push the envelope, but I know where the edge is. I've always known where the edge is for humanity. I've always kind of tried to respect that edge. But my friend invited me to an LGBTQ show. And I was very angry. I just got and I got angrier and angrier during the show because they were telling all the jokes that supposedly we're not supposed to tell. They were saying all the words we're not supposed to say. And I said to my friend, you need to let me go up on stage and call these people on their bullshit. And he said, okay, we'll put you on last. And I went up there and I put him on blast. And I told him, you know, you guys ask for equality, but you don't give it. You ask me to treat you like an equal. But when it comes for you treating me like an equal, you don't. Because if I were to say the same jokes that you guys told here, you guys would get all up in arms and say, you can't call him a twinkie. But you guys did it and laughed at it. Why can't I do that?
Well, isn't that equivalent for black people saying the N-word, but other races shouldn't use it?
No, because there's two different N-words. Now, I don't want to get into the semantics of it.
Any N-word.
No,
I don't think
it's not.
I'm not going to use the N-word.
I agree, but I'll tell you a story. All right. Well, first of all, there is a difference between Nigger and Nigga. It just is, whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
I have never in my life been called a never. I have been called a nigga by my black friends hundreds of thousands of times.
Just because your black friend calls you that doesn't mean that you should be using that word in response. I've been called that by people I've interviewed.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to respond.
Well, you can choose not to. That's on you.
I have always chosen not to. You can
Agreed,
look through
100%.
16 years of interviews.
100%.
You've never heard me say it.
But here's the other side of that. When you watch a show like Def Jam and they say, bitches be acting like this, but niggas be acting like this. At that point, niggas is a substitute or synonym for men, as bitches was for women. He was talking about black women. He's talking about women. And so here's the problem. When you introduce a word into the lexicon and say yourself, it's not that word, then that's what it is. I didn't make the word up. I didn't invent the word to use it. I don't even want to be edgy to use it in the first place. But I'm also not going to pretend that I don't live in a real world where all my black friends call me that way.
Well, yeah, like Latinos have always had this kind of semi-pass for the word. You look at like a Fat Joe, his biggest song, Lean Back,
right,
uses the N-word in the chorus.
That's my point.
I mean, Be Real from Cypress Hill.
Right.
Use the N-word constantly.
That's my point.
You know?
Because we grew up around that and got called that.
You were, you
were the oppressor. So that's
not me personally. I'm an immigrant. You know what I mean?
I know, but the white man was the oppressor, and so that's it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, none of my family were part of slavery on any level.
No, I get it.
My family's from the Ukraine. You know, so we were not part of it on any level. But I understand how loaded of a word it is, and I would never use it.
Sure.
If I ever had to use it, I would say the N-word. If I'm rapping along to a song and that word comes up, I will skip that part of the song.
Right.
Now, that's just me.
Right.
That's just me.
Well, there's a joke that I do that I don't say the word, but I spell it out. But it has the same effect because it's more about how we treat each other. And so, actually, it's part of the bit.
Have you had black people at your show be offended by you using that word on stage?
One time.
One time.
One time.
What happened?
So I was performing in, let me remember where it was exactly. It was in Ohio. It was Columbus.
Where they eat the dogs, yeah.
Columbus, Ohio. They were having an urban night, and my friend asked me to, be on the show. I had a show in the other room, and they were doing a show in this other room, and so I said, yeah, sure. When I went on stage, I was like, how y'all doing? And a guy in the back was like, come on, Los, we your people, dog. Don't act like that. And I was like, okay, I knew what he was trying to say. So I was like, all right, man, I'm just so happy to be free and hanging around real people. You my niggas. And a dude in the front row stood up, looked at the audience and said, oh, you just gonna let this nigga say nigga? And then he looked at me and he went, oh shit, I just called. And then he sat down and went, my bad. My bad. And then I just continued with the show. And from that point on, he was just like, God damn, I can't believe I did that. But he proved my point. He proved my point that like he sucked me, like he brought me into that world like immediately. He didn't, now maybe if I was white, he wouldn't have said it or different, I don't know. But for me, it's like this. Look, your world, the world that you're describing, it already exists, right? I'm not gonna say this, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna go there. I'm just not. My comedy is about revealing layers of truth that are honest. And yes, sometimes people are gonna get butthurt. I get it. But don't invite me into your world, call me a nigga, and then expect me to look at you and go, yeah, my nigga. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna be authentic to each other. But I'm also never gonna drop a hard R. I'm never gonna go to that place. I'm never gonna do that thing because I know that to me is like, a different thing. We were talking about this in 2008. I was doing my buddy's room in Miami, and we were talking about the difference in who says it and how they say it. And he was like, listen, man, when you're one of us, you're one of us. And if you're not, then we just don't look at you like that. And that's the way it is. So, and I'll give you an example. I cannot tell you why. I cannot tell you how. I don't know. I legitimately don't know where it comes from. I know it's phonetic. I just did research and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. The only people in America that, a lot, by the way, say my name with two N's instead of Mencia, are African Americans. African Americans, in a decent portion of them, will say Carlos Mencia, Carlos Mencinas, not Mencia. Only the African American community does it, and only African Americans, because people like that came from Africa recently that weren't part of the slave trade, they call me Mencia. But American blacks call me Mencina. Don't know where it comes from, just know where it is. Wish I could do a joke about it. Can't, because I wish there was something to do there that I just can't. But I tried to find out why it happened, where it came from.
I mean, maybe it's like
it's a phonetic thing.
You know
for
how
sure.
like certain black friends of mine will say ax instead of ask.
Right.
Might be like that kind of thing,
or
maybe
yeah.
certain letters. And I remember, I remember my ex. I remember she used to always say ax, and I said, why do you say ax? She goes, I don't know. It just flows off the tongue easier. So I'm like, okay. And I just left it at that.
Right.
I never say ax. I always say ask.
Right.
But certain people say ax.
No, listen. What was the punchline? I used to do a joke with a punchline that had that. It was when I started getting crap from New Orleans because I did a joke, but it was more of a question. And the question was, is it smart to build a city 20 feet below sea level right next to the ocean? Right? That was the question. And I got a lot of pushback. And then this was when Kanye said George Bush hates black people because of his reaction.
Doesn't care about black people.
Or something like that, right? So then they started saying, hey, well, did you hear what Carlos said? So I think the joke was, listen, first of all, I don't talk behind people's backs. I'm a different kind of comedian. Most comedians will do this. Any Asians here? No? Good. Let's talk about them. I'm the opposite. I'm going to go, any Asians here? No? Then I don't want to do jokes about them. Because if I'm gonna do jokes, like think about this. If there's no black people and I start doing N-word stuff, it's gonna be like almost a free form. Everybody laugh, they're not here, who cares? I need that person to be there because the question that you asked was very important. Has anybody ever gotten pissed? Has anybody ever like wanted to fight you? That's a real question, right? So I want them to be there so that that guy can be there to go, oh, that's what we call him. Shit, I didn't realize it when I thought it. I need that to be a part of it. I need those people to be there. So what I said was, you guys know me. I talk shit to your face. I don't put it aside. I wasn't trying to mess with black people. If I wanted to mess with black people, I wouldn't have asked a question. I would have asked a question. And then it's a huge laugh because everybody has the same thing that you do. But I've done the joke before and I've used that. But that's the kind of stuff, right? You brought it up and said, that's the way it is. So if I'm going to do a joke about it because it exists, it's in the ether. Am I trying to say people that say asks are stupid? No. Am I trying to say anything about their intelligence? No. How they speak? No. I'm just saying they say acts. That's what I would have said if I was trying to fuck with them. It's really simple. I believe that comedy today is the one place where we could get to those spots, to those places. And right now, man, I push the envelope so far, bro. There's stuff that I cannot believe I'm getting away with. Cannot believe. And it's hard to talk about it off stage because the thing is that what I'm doing on stage right now leads to leads, right? The first 20 minutes, as funny and hysterical as it is, take out the laughter. And it's just getting you ready for the last 45. It's literally you preparing you for what is to come, this barrage of truths of stupidity, gullibility, humanity. So it's great, man. I'm loving it. But I don't shy away from real talk and real people and real things.
What do you think of your Latino brother, Ryan Garcia, and the whole racist rant that he had recently? Where he said, I hate N-words, I'm anti-black, bring George Floyd back to life and kill that N-word again.
Yeah, well, I talk about that. I talk about how there's racist Latinos. That's a part of my act. That is a huge part of my act.
Do you think he's racist?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Listen, most people that come from places where, there aren't a lot of black people are racist, or at least very prejudiced, right? Very quick to judge, not know. I didn't grow up like that.
Right, but he was exposed. It's not like he grew up in some small, South American town and came over here and has never seen a black person. I believe he was born in America. I remember I interviewed Bill Haney, Devin Haney's dad.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about this, we kept in touch. And I was like, do you think that he has mental illness or he has substance abuse or do you think he's trolling? And he's like, no, I've known this guy since he was a kid because my son and him used to always go to the same tournaments. He used to always end up in the finals. We've known each other forever. Right. He's been around black people. There's no black people boxing. You've never been around black people? Come on, ridiculous.
Right.
You've been around black people
so he's just
the
racist.
whole time. He's just racist.
He's either racist or trying to get a reaction in the stupidest human way possible.
Right. For example, when I had Tariq Nasheed on my show, right, and he's like a real pro-black guy, big on foundational black Americans, meaning not black immigrants, only descendants of slavery and so forth, right? And when I asked him this question, he said, well, from his perspective, he thinks that Ryan sees himself kind of as the great white hope. In a way, he feels that his fan base are whites and Latinos, and he's trying to pander to them because a lot of them are racist.
Right.
And he's playing up the whole racial part when he fights black fighters and so forth.
Right.
A lot of these guys, man, in order to ingratiate themselves with certain audiences, a lot of the boxing audiences a lot of them harbor a lot of anti-black racism because it's all about rooting against the black guy. Just like with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather got that money, all the money that he has and all the success that he has because people were rooting against him. They wanted to see him get beat so badly by a non-black person.
Do you think that's true?
No.
No?
No, because if you're not racist, you don't ever want to be called a racist. You don't ever want people to think of you as a racist. It's important to you. If you're not really racist, that matters.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Like, look at you. You brought up a word. You didn't call me a racist, but I immediately gave you a bunch of reasons, a bunch of things. I gave you a shitload of perspective to see, to let you into my world so you could see how I think, because I don't want anybody to think I'm a racist. The fact that he doesn't care that they think just lets me believe that he is one.
Yeah, I remember there was this video floating around. They're like, look, Vlad says the N-word. And it's like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm saying a bunch of words at once.
Right.
And they're trying to say it's that, but if you slow it down, clearly I'm not saying it.
Correct.
So yeah, it does. If you're not racist, it does bother you to call yourself racist.
Correct.
People call you racist.
Right.
But to say, bring George Floyd back and, kill that N-word again.
Yeah.
That's pretty racist.
It's very racist.
That's pretty racist.
Especially for somebody born in this country and in a sport where there's a lot of African Americans or a lot of black people, period.
Well, it's dominated by African Americans, right? Boxing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I mean, Latinos too. It's basically a poor people's sport, right? It's basically, because that's the only person. Like, there was one fighter, his name was Prince Hassim or something like that. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
He was an amazing fighter. Right up until that one fight where he got hit really hard and then he quit. Because that's what happens when you're rich. When you're rich and somebody punches you really hard in the face and you end up on Queer Street. By the way, that's what they call it, Queer Street. It's not my thing.
Queer Street? I haven't heard this before.
Queer Street is when they hit you and you don't fall, but you're like wobbly and you don't know where you are. That's what boxers call Queer Street.
I've never heard this before.
Yeah,
Okay, I believe you.
But I grew up, maybe it's a term that got lost in time, but me and my dad used to go watch boxing at Olympic Auditorium when I was a little kid. So, those guys, like the hardcore guys, the ones that it wasn't even boxing, it was just punch them, just fight. There was no style, bro. It was just like two guys like roosters just going at it with each other. That kind of stuff was a part of it. But I think if you're not afraid to be called a racist, there's gotta be something in you that can defend whatever racist attitude you have. This is my personal. I grew up, like I told you, in the projects with some really, really good friends. We fought for each other. We bled a couple times for each other. We took bullets for each other a couple times. I will not name my friend's name, but his uncle got shot by a black guy. We were in the car. We were driving to Disneyland. I don't know how it came up, but he dropped an N-bomb with a hard R, bro. And I said, listen, bro, if you say that word again, you're going to end up walking home. I'm not kidding, dude. Like, being funny is one thing. You're being serious and you're angry. Not in my car. And then he said, I don't give a... And then he dropped it again. And dude, I'll never forget, bro. I pulled over off the 5, just past the Commerce Casino. Pulled over, got out, told him to get out of my car. And I just took off and left him right there on the side of the freeway. That's how I feel about actual racism.
Well, didn't you say that your cousin got shot in the back?
Yeah.
And ended up in a wheelchair? Mm-hmm. What was the situation about?
So that was a big cluster F because the guy who shot him had kids in his room all the time. He was the 15-year-old guy that had kids in his room all the time because he would let us play with his albums and, do all this stuff. So the story was that he was in ROTC and he was flipping the gun and it went off.
Oh, so it was an accident.
That was the story.
Huh, okay.
Turns out, years later, I'm doing an interview. I think it was for Nightline. And I was like, they asked me a question, and I don't know why. I was very vulnerable at the time, and I was like, the guy up there, and I said his name, was like, yeah, he's a pedophile. He sexually abused me when I was a kid. And my brother was there. And I don't know, I felt something weird coming like a burn from the side of my face, and I looked over to my brother, and I was like, what? He did it to you too? Dude, and then all of us got together, and he did it to all of us. So then when I found that out, I went to Benji, and I was like, hey, bro, did blankety blank molest you, bro? Did he like? And he was like, started crying, and he was, not only that, the way they say he shot me, that's not what happened. Turns out that he actually pointed the gun to another kid. The other kid got so scared, started crying, pointed it at my cousin, pulled the trigger, didn't realize there was a bullet in it, and shot him. So the guy, I came this close, bro, to ruining my life one time because of him. Because I was coming home, and I was a drug dealer at the time, and I wasn't the good person, wasn't trying to make people happy or laugh. I had a 9mm with me, and I said something to him, and he didn't respond with I'm sorry or anything like that. And I remember he said, what are you gonna do about it? And I pulled out a gun on the guy, man. And I was about to shoot him. Was it not for my mom, who heard what was going on and yelled out my name?
So you were molested as a kid?
By that and by a priest, so.
By two people?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Both of them men?
Yeah. And I was sexually abused by my 15 at the time. I was 8, she was 15. Had sex with her. She was my cousin. But that was like, it didn't feel rapey. You know what I mean? Because I was like a kid, and it's just looking back, I'm like, Jesus, I was 8 and she was riding me. The fuck was that?
Wow.
So, but that's part of why my comedy is what a lot of people would think is extreme. Because the stuff that I find hurtful, the stuff that I find painful, the stuff that I repudiate is that kind of stuff. Not words. Oh my God, I wish that guy would have just looked at me and said, man, you look hot. I wish I could fuck you. And he hadn't. That would have been great. Oh, that would have been amazing. He didn't molest me. He just said some shit. Oh, that would have been phenomenal. The priest said some stuff, but he didn't touch me. Oh my God, that's amazing. You know, so I see the world from a very different place because my pains run very deep at times. You know what I mean?
Do you think that ever affected your sexuality? Because a lot of times when I interview guests who are gay, not every time,
Right.
but most times they were molested by a man early in their life. And that set a precedent, or it set, you know, a set of questions and so forth, and that later on manifested into what they identified as.
Never for me, because it was I never thought it was my fault. I'll never forget, bro, if you, to this day, bro, to this very moment in time, I can tell you, bro, I will never forget how helpless I felt when he was on top of me, naked, and I just was not big enough to push him off. I wasn't big enough to get him off me, to put my hands on him and push. I was just too small. But I've never blamed myself for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I went up to a guy's room who gave us candy and let us play with stuff. Of course I did. I was a kid. You know what I mean? I don't blame myself. He just did. He was a horrible human being that did horrible things to kids.
He never got caught, never got arrested, anything?
No, but he ended up getting addicted to heroin and dying of an overdose. So
Good riddance.
beautiful.
Good
Beautiful.
riddance.
So beautiful. And I'm so happy that I didn't, do something really stupid and pull a trigger when I was a kid. That also changed my life. That was when I stopped dealing drugs and I got rid of my gun. And I was like, you know what? I don't ever want to be in that position again or put myself in that, because Were it not for me hearing my mother say Ned, I would have, I was in real, it's a very angry place at that very moment in time to look at my accuser. I mean, to look at the guy who did it to me is this abuser. And yeah, to look at my abuser in the eye and to tell him, you better not do that to any other kids. And to have him say, what are you going to do about it? I was going to do something about it. I was. And so, that's why all this word stuff, all this, it's like, ugh, why are you guys even caring about this stuff? Why do you care? There's like real stuff out there to be offended by, to be hurt by, to be angry about.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed Danny Trejo, right? And we talked about the movie American Me. And if you remember the movie, when Edward James Olmos's character, who was the founder, was based on the founder of the Mexican Mafia.
Right.
When he got in trouble as a kid, they put him in juvie.
Right.
And the first night he was there, he was raped by another boy.
Right.
And I'd heard rumors about the implications of this scene. And Danny Trejo confirmed it because he was friends with the founders of the Mexican Mafia. He'd been locked up with them and so forth. And what he confirmed was, when that movie came out, the Mexican Mafia was so upset because it never happened.
Right.
It was all fiction.
Sure.
Right? And had, I remember someone explained to me that if the founder of the Mexican Mafia was known to have been raped by another man, he would not be in that position.
Right.
They were so upset that 10 people that were associated with that movie, that were extras and people they hired as expert, like experts in terms of Mexican gang culture, were killed over that movie. They didn't write the script,
right?
But any affiliation that anyone had over that movie got murdered. Edward James Olmos had a hit on him.
Yeah.
He didn't carry a gun and so forth.
Right.
Serious stuff.
Yeah. Very serious stuff.
The person in charge of that movie made a lot of mistakes.
American Me.
Yeah.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of mistakes.
Do you know
And
him?
He'll admit it. And I told him out front, you can't do this, Holmes. You can't do this. You're offending some very, very. He said, well, it's theatrical. I said, yeah, but you're not dealing with theatrical motherfuckers.
Yeah.
The power of cinema, you got to be really careful.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And I don't mean, am I offending somebody? No, you just got to be real careful about telling the truth. Okay, the leader of the Mexican Mafia was never raped.
Yeah.
All right, so that's number one.
Yeah. And from what I understand, some of the people featured in that movie, like I think, like
lot of
got killed
There was-
because of them being in that movie.
4 out here and about, I think 6 in prison.
You heard this before?
Yeah, and I grew up around that.
Ah.
But I got the opposite end of that.
Yeah.
I got the good side of it. So when I was a kid, in my neighborhood, everybody knew that I was smart. Everybody knew that I was a scholastic achiever. So one time, I was about 10 years old. I was walking to school, and one of the younger gang members pushed me, and he was like, "Where you going, bro? What up?" I was like, "Hey, man, just going to school, dog." And he's like, "Man, fuck school, bro. Let me tell you something." And then one of the veteranos who had just gotten out of jail recently pushed him aside and said, "Hey, bro, don't ever mess with that kid right there, bro. That kid right there is going to do something for us. That kid one day is going to shine and make people see us differently, bro. You and I are going to end up dead or in jail before we're 20-something. Not him, bro. Leave him alone. I don't want anybody ever fucking with him. He's not a gang member. He's not that. That's not who he is. This kid is smart. He's going to be somebody." And from that point on, they'd never mess with me. And dude, a dude who just got out of jail. I mean, I'm going to cry. I little moments like that in my life are like, to me, sometimes I talk about them like they're nothing, right? Because I don't sit down and brew in this kind of stuff all the time. But when I think about how influential that moment was, that guy right there made it so that I never got my ass beat, so that they never mess with me, so that they never try to, sell me drugs or any stuff like that. I got protection from a killer because he believed that I would be somebody.
You know, I've interviewed a lot of Norteño and Sureños over the years, you know, usually rappers. It's always been interesting. I remember I've asked this to both Norteños and Sureños, and they have all confirmed this. I remember one of them, I forgot who it was that said it originally. Sad Boy said this. He's from out here. He's a Sureño. He said that when he was a kid and, you know, he had joined the gang, he aspired to one day be a gang boss doing life in Pelican Bay and calling the shots while doing 23-hour lockdown. Which sounds crazy. And every guy, Norteño and Sureño, who I've asked this, they're like, yeah, we all went through this. We all went through this phase. You know, they don't think like this anymore as they're older and have kids or whatever. But as a teenager, this was all they thought about in terms of aspirations.
Correct.
Like I remember when I interviewed Mr. Capone, he told me that when he was young and he was in the neighborhood, his dream was to get life in prison and be a prison boss.
As a kid growing up, jail was like a victory. Like you get a prize. Like I kind of wanted to be in jail. Like my dreams, like it even sounds crazy as hell, but my dreams were like, I want to be doing life in prison.
That's everybody's, when you're a youngster, that's everybody's mentality. That was mine too.
You had that same mentality?
Same mentality. That's when you're a youngster, your dream is to hit Pelican Bay and all that stuff, you feel me?
I've never heard this from black gangs. I've never heard this from, you know, Puerto Rican gangs like Latin Kings or whatever else. It's only the Mexican gangs that think like this.
Right.
As someone who grew up around this, why do you think that this type of, you know, mentality was out there?
Well, it's because we were told, like, what was it Boys in the Hood? Was that the movie where the guy knocks on the door and he's selling insurance for kids and he's like, if you just look at the odds of the kids, the odds are your kid might get shot. And the lady's just pissed like, are you serious? This is my kid, get out of here. We were told that our entire lives growing up. We had officers come to our schools. I remember the days showing us drugs, telling us this, telling us that if we get in a gang that we're gonna be dead or dead, that statistically you won't reach this age, blah, blah, blah. So believe it or not, when you're told you're gonna join a gang, you're gonna end up on drugs, you're gonna die, or you're gonna end up in jail, the best option of all those is, I'm not gonna die, I'm gonna end up in jail, but I'm gonna rule the whole goddamn thing. That's the best option for us. You know what I mean?
Best option out of other bad options. Yeah.
Out of all the options that are presented to you because you hear so much, you know, it's part of why the early part of my career, so much of the stuff is, why do people treat me like this? Why do people act like this? You know what I mean? It was, why aren't there Latinos in movies about the future? As much of a joke as that was, it was also legitimate. It was also going, wait, my name is Mencia, and I'm watching Star Wars and Star Trek, and there's no goddamn Latinos in these movies. What happens to us in the future? How irrelevant are we? Because I know there was a conversation that said, you know, we don't have anybody black. Oh shit, we need to have anybody black. If the conversation ever occurred, we should have a Latino. The response to that would have been, fuck them, we don't need them. Or, it's not important to put them in here. Either way, the irrelevance of a Latino in these movies was a huge part of what I used to talk about.
They have them now, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Diego Luna, he was in
thank
Rogue
God.
One. Pedro Pascal was the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, he's wearing a mask most of the time, but every so often you see him without the mask. Benicio del Toro.
Sure. Well, the first one was, so it took...
Rosario Dawson had her own series
Correct.
on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so it took Star Wars Episode 1, none. 2, none. 3, none, right? So Episode 4, 5, 6, none.
Yeah.
Episode 1, none. It wasn't until the middle or end of Episode 2, which was the 5th movie made,
Yeah.
where Jimmy Smits So if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy Smith was the first one. As far as Star Trek, I don't remember which all of those were. I know there was a lieutenant in the original Star Trek. There was a lieutenant something, Rodriguez or Salazar or something. He was in the episode where they land on a planet and they smell these flowers and then everybody falls in love and nobody wants to leave the planet. And then, of course, Spock, because he has no emotions, was like, oh, and so they figured it out. But everybody left. And guess who stayed on the planet where you fall in love? The Latino. He was only in one episode and he was gone. But you know, that stuff.
There's also the gardening kind of backdrop, you know, they're using.
Well, no. I used to do this joke, dude. I used to do this joke. It was awesome. I go, this is, first of all, when I was growing up, every show that was about cops, whether it was Starsky and Hutch or Beretta or whatever, always had one episode every so often that dealt with Latinos. And there was always a bunch of bad Latinos and a young Latino that's teetering. And that guy was A. Martinez. He was always fucking A. Martinez. Do you know the actor A. Martinez?
No.
If you pull him up, A. Martinez, you'll recognize his face. In the 70s, bro, he was that guy. He was on every single one.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
And and every time he was like almost gonna join the gang, but he didn't. And then he came back. And I go, and in every one of those episodes, this was always a scene. Knock, 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 knock. Open the door. Jess, what's going on? Do you know anybody? Somebody got shot. Do you know anything about who got shot? No, nothing. Click. What? Listen, ma'am, if you don't tell us, we're going to call immigration, and immigration going to come here and take you over. Okay, it was Manuel from 4B around the corner, but don't tell him I said anything. Like, that was every Starsky and Hutch one, every Beretta with us in it. It had that moment. But listen, even back then, I got it. I was like, look, we're paying our dues. I get it. We're paying our dues. I understand it. It's the way America works. I get it. I just got pissed that it took so long, right? Because the problem, if it is a problem, the thing about immigration is, right, you think about Italians, Irish people showed up and it was a pretty concentrated period of time, a decade or so, and that was it. And then they kind of stopped. Then Italians did it, and then there was a certain period of time, and then it was done. Well, with Mexico and Central America, this has been happening since the 80s. So it's a steady influx. And so if you go to like, I grew up in the projects, Maravilla projects, in the 70s. By the time the 80s came out, we left. But the influx of people that came back were still more immigrants coming in. So even though people like me cycle out, there's a cycle that comes in behind us. And so I have a buddy, his name is Juan Villarreal, and he does this really funny bit about how people think he's a paisa or a mojado. That means an undocumented, no papers. And how he's like, nah, dude, I'm from here, bro. Nah, don't even, he does this whole thing. But that's been a part of our culture for the entire time, right? That I'm seen as one or the other still. Like I'm still looked at as, well, your people are coming in droves. Well, I was pretty much born here. You know what I mean? My brother was born here. He doesn't, he doesn't live in that world, but yet it's a part of who we are because that's how people see it. So I've always seen it. I just try to inject it with comedy so that people can see a different perspective. You know what I mean?
Well, Diddy's going through a lot of drama right now. Now, you said that you and your son went to a Diddy party?
Dude, now that I know, I am like, man, thank God. I was embarrassed at the time. Okay, so when I was a kid, me and my dad were watching The Godfather 2. And there's a scene where they pan into, he's in Tahoe, and they pan across and behind you could see the lake. But indoors, behind the screen, you could see steam coming up from the pool. And I remember saying to my dad, like, what's up with that? And he was like, oh, because, when you live in cold places, you don't want to get in the water. It's cold, so you keep it warm. And that's the steam coming up because it's cold, but it's warm. And I remember thinking, that's when I'll know that I made it. When I have a pool that is 80 degrees every day of the year, no matter where I live, no matter what the weather. So that was a thing. So when I bought my house in 2001, I made sure that that thing was able to get, so I have solar panels to heat it up, but when not, it was not anymore. It was at 80 degrees, like all the time. So my son is used to getting in a warm pool no matter what the weather. He gets invited by Diddy's little girls. They hit it off. And he gets in their pool and he goes, "What the, Dad, why is it cold in here? Why isn't it warm like our pool?" And I'm like, "Shut your pie hole, man. This guy can put me in a movie or a video. Shut up. You're embarrassing me." Cut to find out all the stuff that happened. I'm like, man, I got away scot-free on that one. Thank God. Nothing bad happened. He's probably mad at my kid anyway for saying that his pool isn't warm, but yeah, whatever.
So did you actually talk to Diddy?
It was a high and by. It was really quick. When I hang out, it was more about the kids.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I don't, no matter how successful I've ever been in my life, I still respect people's privacy. And, unless I meet you as a celebrity in a space where you let me in as a human being, I'm just not going to I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to talk to you very much. I'm not going to impose myself. I'm just not that person. You have to let me in. I'm like a vampire that way. I can't come in your house unless you tell me it's okay. I can't talk to you like a human being unless you tell me it's okay. So it was just a high and by, nothing. You need to let me know, because I know what it's like. You know what I mean? I know what it's like on whatever level it's been to be at a bar, to be eating. I know what it's like to be, I don't want to be that person. And me in my head going, but you are that person at this very moment. Let me go. But I also realize that person might never meet a celebrity other than me.
Yeah, I'm usually really
and so
nice
I'll
to
give it
people.
to him and I'll be nice.
Yeah. I'll usually, like, if I get hit up in a restaurant, I'll just say, hey, if they ask me for a photo, I'll say, hey, listen, let me just finish my meal and I got you. Mm-hmm. I'm right here. I'm not leaving. If you want to hang out until I finish, I got you.
Right.
Because that's their only actual connection to you that day, probably for their whole lives.
Correct.
I'd rather have them say, yo, Vlad was a cool dude, man.
Correct.
As opposed to like, I hate this guy.
Right.
Like, I'll ask for a photo and he gave me attitude or whatever else.
Right.
Not like I've literally never said no to a photo ever.
Me either.
Yeah.
Me either. And I'll just get up right away and do it and, shake their hand and whatever. That's their moment. And, my friends are always like, why are you so okay with that? I'm like, because that's their moment, not mine.
Exactly.
I might remember this.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they'll remember forever that I was nice to them. And all it took was 30 seconds or a minute. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fine.
And they're asking for a photo because they admire what you've accomplished.
Correct.
Think about that. That's how I look at it. Like, this person actually is a fan in whatever way. Like, whatever you and I put out in the world, they've watched it and appreciated it.
Right.
That doesn't happen to 99% of people out there.
Right.
People go on to their jobs and their jobs aren't appreciated.
Yep.
You don't go up and say, hey, man, listen, the way you put that cabinet together, was incredible. Let me take a picture with you next to the cabinet. That doesn't happen.
This is the cabinet man.
The cabinet man. It doesn't happen. So yeah, man, I appreciate it because I wasn't, I wasn't public my whole life. So
I got you.
I appreciate it. But with
But I don't
Diddy,
do that to other people. I can't.
You never ask photos?
No,
Really?
I don't go up to other people and ask for photos, or I don't do that to them.
I would do it if we're at events. I guess just walking down the street if I saw somebody, or after an interview, obviously. But like if we're at an event and everyone's taking photos, then I'm cool. But if I run into someone walking down the street, I might have a conversation with them, might exchange numbers, but I won't ask for a photo.
Yeah.
Like I remember, and something, and you really remember the times that you get kind of, brushed away. I remember Rob Schneider. I ran into him at a grocery store. And I'm like, oh, what's up now? I'm Vlad, Vlad from VladTV. He's like, oh, okay. And you could tell he didn't really know who I was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in interviewing you. Can I get your contact? Yeah, call my agent. He just walked away. And I've talked so much shit about him over the years,
Right.
With other people who have had bad experiences with him and so forth. And I'm like, all right, you want to act like that?
Yeah.
I'm going to act like this.
Right.
You could have just gave me your contact. You could have just ignored it after I emailed you or texted you.
Correct.
But instead, you chose to be an asshole in the grocery store.
Right.
And I'm going to use my voice to let everyone know that you're an asshole.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
His perspective is, I'm shopping. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I have
exactly.
contacts. You can find them out. I'm not saying
No,
it's right.
I get it. I understand his
I'm not
side
saying,
of it.
I'm
I
not
understand,
that. See,
I
I
understand
don't want
his side
you.
of it.
I don't want you to exist. I do not want you to exist in that form with me. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
want you, because that's not how I live. That's not how I exist.
Well,
That's
this is
not-
why I try to act nice to everybody.
Me too.
If people ask for my contact,
Me
I
too.
will give them a contact.
Yeah.
It might be my assistant's contact. It might be
Right.
hit me on Instagram. Like I'll respond, but I won't just sit there and just walk away and pretend like they don't matter.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. And I teach my kids, when you talk to somebody, look at them in the eye. Like, the other day my son was like this. He's like, I want a Coke, or no, he was saying, I want a Shirley Temple. And I was like, hold on, man. Please don't go. Hey, son, you need to look at her in the eye. You don't ask people for shit when you don't look at them. That's disrespectful. All right? So look at her in the eye and ask her for what you want. And then he looked at her and he said, may I please have her? And I was like, cool. So I like that, and I'll treat people like that. But, the thing is if I go to a concert and I'm backstage, those guys will say, come and take a picture. You know what I mean? I won't have to. You know what I mean? But I also know, like, I'm not going to say who I met the other day was really short with me, because I really love his work. And that's all I said to him. I was like, hey, man, just so you know, really love your work. And he just was like, oh, whatever. I was like, and I was like, you know what? Not going to say anything, because last thing I want to do is go on and be like, I just met because I love him from blah, 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 blah. And then 2 days later read, well, his mother died that day. Oh, fuck, no. God damn it. Shit. Remove post. So I kind of try to give people the benefit of the doubt, just because you never know that moment. But I'm always available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, listen, I remember we did a show in Atlantic City at the Borgata, and literally 90% of the people got in line after the show, about 2,000 people. So about 1,800 of them literally lined up to take pictures. And the people from the Borgata were like, listen, tomorrow's show, you can't take pictures. We need these people to get out there and gamble, bro. It took us 2 hours to get through that line. They're like, so it's not going to be your fault. Don't worry. It's us. We're going to do it. But we can't do what you did yesterday. And I was like, I got an idea. I'll get a Polaroid and I'll charge like $50 a picture, which will make the line
Shorter.
And those that can't afford it will just buy a T-shirt and I'll sign it and no picture. So we figured to work a way around it.
Nice.
But it'll take forever, sometimes. And I've done that before. And I still, to this day, after every show, go somewhere and take pictures or sign autographs at every single show.
Well, the Diddy story keeps getting more and more bizarre.
Can it at this point?
Oh yeah, it can. Well, of course, when when Cassie filed the lawsuit, there was the whole thing about he would pay male prostitutes to sleep with her while he would pleasure himself in the corner.
Yeah.
That's a bit
Little
weird.
Little cuckold.
The cuckold thing.
Little cuckold. Nice.
Yeah, he was a cuckold. And I remember when I interviewed his head of security, Roger Bonds. He would see these. He wouldn't be in the room, obviously,
Right.
but he would see these male prostitutes go into their room, and so forth. There's all types of interesting lawsuits. This former adult film star is suing him, saying that he made her boyfriend give him head.
Made him. What do you mean made him? Like, gun to head? Made him. He talked to him? Listen,
Yeah, how do you make someone give you head? Unless you're in prison, then you could,
But even then, you could be like, hey, I'll bite it off, bro. And they'll be like, I'll kill you. You'll still have no dick. It's up to you, bro. I'd rather die than blow you.
Really?
Literally. No, I'm just saying you could say that to get out of it.
Right.
I don't know if it'll work.
You'd probably
I don't know if it'll work. It might work. You never know.
Well, listen, there's these moments where you say, this story makes me never want to go to prison. For example, the American Me rape scene made me never want to go to prison.
Hell yes.
Right? And I remember I interviewed, one of my regular guests, 1090 Jake. He was telling me about a story because he did a lot of prison time. He was saying how a bunch of guys were put like in a holding area, right? And there was like some young kid who was like, I don't know, 18, 19. And he went to the bathroom to take a shit. And one of the older inmates went into the stall with a knife and said, don't even wipe, bend over, or else I'll stab you.
Ooh. Oof. That's rough. I'd get stabbed. I'd probably get stabbed. No, I wouldn't. You know what? That is why I stopped dealing drugs, so that I would never have to ask this goddamn question. I did the right thing when I was young. I got scared straight when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So when I was doing that stuff, and the reality of all that hit me, and so yeah, I'm lucky that I stayed out of that stuff. But I will tell you this: if it was now and it was somebody else, they probably would have sued. So in 1996, I was in the Hedgehog introduced me to a trans, and he didn't tell me.
Wait, who's the Hedgehog?
Ron Jeremy.
Oh.
So Ron.
His name was the Hedgehog?
You didn't know that? They called him the Hedgehog? That's what they called him. Because of his little body and his huge, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway.
Wait, here's a little side note before you go on with your story.
Yeah.
Little side note.
Yeah.
The first porn movie I ever saw, this was in junior high. My friend Mark Avanesian gave me this VHS tape.
Yeah.
It's called Springtime in the Rockies. Y'all can look it up. It's still floating around. The first time I've ever seen a porno, there was this scene with Ron Jeremy, and he's watching his wife have sex with another woman with binoculars. And as he's doing it, he's like stroking himself, and then he gives himself head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have never seen this since.
Yeah.
This is how I was introduced.
Yeah.
And I'm looking down and going like, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not long enough and I have a stubby body and you know what I'm saying? And he's even like, this is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to the Hedgehog story.
Yeah. Was it impressive to you?
It was impressive.
It was very
Come
impressive,
on,
right?
It was impressive.
Hugely impressive,
You
right?
see dogs do it, you
Right.
gotta think like, well, if I can do that,
Right.
I don't know, maybe.
What would I do?
don't
I'd
know.
never leave the house.
Does that make me gay? If I can give myself head, I mean, it's myself. I'm sucking a dick, but it's my own dick. I don't know.
Hey, I've contemplated this on stage many times before, bro. It's been a running theme, but it can be gay because it's my dick. I touch my own dick. That's not gay. I touch your dick. I've done the whole thing. Yeah.
So anyways, the Hedgehog. Tell me about the Hedgehog.
So Ron introduced me to a trans, and he never told me. You know, she used to be a dude, and she was. I couldn't tell. I for the life of me, I couldn't tell. And you know, when it was revealed later that she was a dude, I didn't freak out.
So did you
yeah.
sleep with her?
Oh yeah.
So you slept with the trans?
Oh yeah. And I do a whole bit about it.
Post-op or pre-op?
Post-op. No, pre-op never. I wouldn't done. No, that I can't do.
She wasn't a chick with a dick.
No, I couldn't do that.
So she had a vagina.
Yeah.
So what does not that I'm ever looking to find out myself.
So
but
first of all, when my friends try to shame me, which they do sometimes, especially when I was younger, well, I didn't talk about this until a little older. But when my friends were like, "I can't believe you were with a trans and blah blah," I was like, "Bro, we grew up in the projects, bro. We grew up on rebuilds. This is not new for us, bro." I was like, one of my friends, I was like, "Remember your dad had the door from a Honda on his Nissan and he shaved it?" I'm like, "Come on, dude, that's how we grew up.
Huh?
This isn't weird." No. So I tell this as a joke, but it's really true. So the weirdness started when we started having sex.
Okay.
That's when it got weird. because it didn't feel right. And I'm not a mean human being by nature. On stage, I say this on stage all the time. I'm only a dick on stage. Never in real life.
Did you hit it raw?
No, God no. But still,
not like
there
you get
was
her pregnant.
something wrong. There was something not right about it, bro. But I couldn't say anything, right? Like, because, you know, I have 11 sisters, and I've heard them talking growing up about sex and all that kind of stuff. And I know that in the middle of banging somebody, you can't go, "What's wrong with your vagina?" I knew that much. I knew that I couldn't say that. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. So physically speaking, when you convert penis into vagina, two glaring things, very different. Number one, they don't have the mucous membrane, so they can't get wet.
Yeah.
So they gotta like put lube in there or something, but they can't get wet. And I said this on stage, and I'll say it here. I have, as an adult, never, I'm not the greatest lay ever. I'm not talking about how good I am in bed, but I have never, ever been with a woman as an adult and had sex and not heard this at some point. All right? Never has it happened, ever. On that day it did. There's no, you know what I mean? It's kind of dry, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. Second thing, they don't have the muscle around, you know, the vagina.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's that right there. And so at one point I had to be like, hey, and she saw my face and she was like, "Oh no, wait a minute. He didn't tell you?" And then it was like, you know, in my head, I'm
so
like,
she told you right then and there.
I go, "Wait a minute. Who didn't tell me what?" And she starts crying, right? And she's like, "I can't believe he didn't tell you. I asked him 8 times. I'm starting to feel sorry for her, right? But then she goes, "I can't believe this is happening to me." And I'm like, "I think it's happening to me, and you're not fucking telling me what it is. Like, this does not feel right." And then, and then she goes, "I'm just gonna say it. I used to be a dude." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously?" And she goes, "Are you angry?" And I go, "Yes, I'm angry. I could have been doing you in the ass this whole time. Seriously?" And I laughed my way out of it. And there's more to the joke than the story, but yeah, and my brother immediately was like, "That was a dude." I was like, "Well, I didn't know. You could have told me." And he was like, "Whatever, dude." And he's like, "Are you pissed?" I'm like, "No. I saw somebody that was attractive, and I was with them. That's it. She had a penis. Would I have stayed? No, but she didn't. It was fine. Whatever."
Yeah,
So,
if I get dude vibes, I mean, I think about like all the women I've dated over the years, and whenever I've gone out with someone, if I felt like there's a chance that they might be a man,
right,
I just exit out of that.
Okay.
I just would rather not open that door.
right.
I'm cool.
I got you.
Yeah.
You know what? It presented itself. I didn't hear any bells. I didn't see anything, and I don't have a problem with it. And it's really funny because, when I first started touring like hard in 1994, I remember I would go on stage and I would tell people, I was like, where some trans would be there, and I'd be like, I had sex with trans ones, and everybody'd be like, "Oh, really? Seriously?" And they'd freak out, and I'd go, "Yeah, what's a big deal?" And sometimes I would call my brother, and I go, "I swear to God, okay." And I'd call my brother, and I'd be like, "Hey, Bert," and then I'd put the microphone right by the speaker, and I'd be like, "Have I ever been with a transsexual before?" And they're like, "Dude, seriously? Yeah." And then he would tell people the story, and I would be like, "Yeah, it happened." Like, I've never been embarrassed or ashamed of the things that I've done in my life, mostly because they all come from a good place. They never come from a bad place. They never come from a cruel place or a mean place or a hurtful place. Like, I don't tell people in real life the things that I say on stage. I say them on stage. It's just that today people don't differentiate between the characterization of who I am on stage and the human being that I am. You know what I mean? When people start saying, well, you made a comment. I don't make comments. I tell jokes. I tell stories that are jokes. And by the way, the majority of stories that I tell, there's a part of it that's actually really true that happened, that incited the whole thing. A lot of the funny shit, that's not true. It's just, I have to be funny. I'm not here to write a book and tell you a story. I'm here to make you laugh. So let me just make you laugh. So I've never been ashamed of any of that stuff.
Well, you talked about how certain rappers have gay lyrics.
Yes, many of them. You could pull them up. Pull up gay lyrics.
Well,
gay rap lyrics.
Well, there's, of course, Biggie. I remember me and Tony Yayo, we had this whole back and forth recently.
Right.
And Biggie had some really gay lyrics. You know, you look so good, I suck on your daddy's dick.
Right.
Which is a Richard Pryor line, but
Sure.
still.
Doesn't matter.
He chose to say it.
Yes.
Let me see. I put Shantae Moore, pussy in stitches. I'd fuck RuPaul before I fuck them ugly ass escape bitches.
You see what I'm saying? There's a bunch of them.
My N-word, see gutter,
Yeah.
kidnap kids, fuck them in the ass,
Yes.
throw them over the bridge.
It's everywhere. They've been there forever. They were never hidden. They were never like not part of it. It's just that we've looked at hip hop as such a masculine thing. You know what I mean? That we never went past it to see it. I think it was only till Nas probably Nas X anyway, not Nas, but to Lil Nas X. I think that like an actual flamboyant kind of a gay rapper was part of the hip hop scene. But before that, there was a lot of dudes saying like, I'll suck your dick. Like it's to another dude. There's like a few of them that go that route.
Even the term suck my dick. I understand this is a jail term and I remember Fat Joe said that if someone said that to him, he would stab him. Like even to this day.
Sure.
To me, that's always been a weird thing. Like if a dude tells me suck my dick,
right,
I would just be like, nah, I'm good. I don't see it as an insult.
Right.
Because I would never consider doing it.
Sure.
So I know you're trying to insult me by saying it,
Right.
but it flew over my head.
I don't even care about that stuff. Like, especially when it comes to comedy driven, whatever it is, man, it doesn't matter. It's not real. It's just theater of the mind, Go. I was talking to somebody the other day about comedians and stand-up and the stuff that we talk about, and they were talking to me about their ick. That's how old this person was. Their ick. So I took him to a comedy club before it opened, and I said, what do you see here? Like, look at the stage. What do you see? And he's like, there's just a microphone and a stool. I go, yeah. And then later on, there's going to be one person up there, a comedian. And that comedian is just going to use that microphone to create an entire world for 45 minutes to an hour. That's just all in his head and your head, or her head or your head. That's it. It's what we do. It's not real. Like whatever you want to take from it, the only difference between this room right now is that comedian that's going to be there and the people out here that are going to be receiving, the laughter. That's it. It's just us talking, bro. That's all it is. We're not touching anybody. We're not messing with anybody. We're not doing anything. It's literally just a microphone. It's just a theater. We just create that and that's it. I think that comedy has just gotten so good and evolved so well that there are people sometimes that think you're talking with them instead of talking to them.
Well, since our last interview, Katt Williams,
he went off.
The whole rampage.
Holy shit.
The whole rampage that he did on Club Shay Shay. And he accused certain comedians of stealing jokes.
Yeah.
Cedric the Entertainer,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
I think he may have mentioned a few others.
Yeah.
As someone who went through everything you went through of being accused of stealing jokes, to see other major comedians being accused of it, how'd you feel?
Bothers me. I hate it. I hate the insecurities. Look, let's be real. Like, I know that coming from me, this might sound tainted, whatever. It's real. No comedian that can't write is ever going to be popular. No one joke, especially a joke that was stolen or is retread or is in the zeitgeist or whatever, no no one joke has ever made any one comedian great, right? A bit has, iconic bits have, but once that iconic bit is iconic and you do it, it's not iconic anymore anyway. So it's never gonna give you that thing. I've never delved into that. I look at it like, it's what I was talking about earlier when we first were talking, and I said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that joke. You know, the one about the pets and the eating because way too many people are doing it. That's just my way of staying away from the fray of this shit.
Yeah.
But I know that right now, as we speak, there are thousands of people that did it online and hundreds of comedians that are going to do it on stage tonight. Which one of them stole it?
Yeah. No, look,
Which one did it first? Which one is the one who you claim it to? Which one is the one that you say he originated it? And then you're going to tell him he originated it and he's the only one that thought of that? He's the only one that thought of voodoo because they're Haitians. He's the only one that thought, why are they eating cats and dogs and the geese and you know what I'm saying?
Look, I had D.L. Hughley on my show recently, right? He's a regular guest. Me and him go back.
Love D.L.
Yeah, that's my man. Lives down the street from me. And he said that he's never known of a single comedian that has not stolen a joke at some point, him included. In fact, he went into a story about how he had stolen one of Robin Harris's jokes, and Tommy Davidson confronted him with it.
Right.
It happens with everybody. Everybody
But
takes
I don't think
and borrows.
he means, I don't know if he meant stole it or he meant he did something similar.
No, he said he stole it.
Oh, he did steal it.
So you've stolen jokes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you steal from?
I was a kid. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I used to take Robert, when I first started out 30 years ago, it was Robin Harris.
Aha.
Yeah. And I remember Tommy Davidson, we were at this place. It's not even open no more. It was on Encino and Balboa in the Valley. And Tommy Davidson came up to me and goes, I think I've been doing comedy maybe a year. And Tommy Davidson came up to me and he said, hey man, you know that's Robin Harris stuff. And I wanted to fight Tommy, but he was right. And right then and there I learned I'm not doing that no more.
That's early in his career. And he really looked up to Robin Harris.
Wait, early in your career, it's not stealing. When you're first forming yourself as a comedian, the problem is that things change sometimes between the 90s and the 2000s. So in the 90s, when comedians would talk about coming up, right? Chris Rock would say, oh man, when I first started, I was Richard Pryor. I did all his stuff. Chappelle, I was doing Pryor's jokes, right? It was okay. It was almost like the training wheels of comedy. It was almost like a kid out there with a basketball and he's going, I'm gonna do LeBron's moves or Kobe's moves or Jordan's moves, whatever that thing is, right? Then inevitably it becomes them. So when comedians are young, we're all very simple. We're all very basic and we all do shit that's retread, that's easy, that's simple, that's done. But I don't know of any actual good comedian who got past that stage and then ever did that again. Because the stuff is just so personal once you become a decent comedian. I hate that it gets put out there. I hate that people who read this stuff are under the impression that only one comedian can do a joke about being in a car with their girlfriend/wife and saying, where do you want to eat? Wherever. What about this place? Not there. What about this place? Not there. What about this place? Not there. Well, you fucking said whatever. The version of that joke has been told by hundreds of comedians. But do you know why? Because that moment in time is very real to so many people. Every man that has ever been in a moment like that has done that. Every woman has done that. And so it's not about the joke itself. At that point, it's about the connective tissue of humanity. I don't know what the jokes were, but a lot of that stuff is just comedians. You know when I let the stuff go, bro? I let it go when Carlos Santana said to me, brother, nobody owns colors, brother. You just paint. Because those are just colors. Words are like colors. Just use the paint to paint your picture and don't worry about anything else. And other people are going to maybe paint the same thing as you, but will never look like yours. They're going to paint flowers. It's going to look like Monet. I'm going to paint flowers. It's going to look like Degas. It's like, it's different. Just be yourself, use the paint. And from that point on, I think I even stopped caring about that kind of stuff. And to me, it just, look, I literally can right now give you the names of 10 comedians that are 15 years younger than me. And I can go watch this special mine, this special mine, this special mine, and watch them and show you that they literally lifted my stuff. I can show you comedians that act like me on stage, that do moves like me on stage. I'm an influence. I get it. I'm cool with that. I just hate the fact that people are getting into the business of stand-up comedy when they don't know what we are and what we do. They don't know that we think the same. They don't know that if you put 10 of us in a room and one thing that we're all almost going to come up with the same joke that we've never talked about before. They don't know any of that stuff. So they live in a world where, you know, somebody does a Trump joke looking like an orangutan and then somebody else does. Well, yeah, there's only a few animals in the world that are orange. Like, what the fuck you think I'm gonna call them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a very basic thing. He looks like an orangutan. It's fucking, it writes itself. It's just easy stuff, right? The Oompa Loompa. I am positive I'm not the only person that has called him a Oompa Loompa or a giant Oompa Loompa or whatever it is. He's orange. It writes itself, right? I don't live in that. But the fact that a lot of other people will see that and go, oh, you know what I mean? I think that, like, that's it. Like, I just hate that. And I don't want to live in that. And I wish we didn't live in that. I wish we just do your act. Do your shit. Do whatever you wrote that comes to you and kill it and walk away from it. You don't have to put anybody down. You don't have to tell everybody that you're better. You don't have to tell everybody what they did and what you did and how to compare it. Just do you, man. Be you. Do what you do to the best of your ability. Walk off stage with pride, and that's it. And that's where I wish we all lived. But maybe it's because I've been through what I've been through. Maybe it's because I dealt with that stuff. But I don't think that that's the case, bro. In 1994, I did a special. And I did a TV show called Loco Slam. And they said, you get one comedian that is yours and yours alone. Whether they suck or not, you get to put them on. Like, you get to get them on the stage. If they eat a dick, they probably won't be on the show. But you can do it. So I was like, Juan Villarreal. Love this guy. He's incredible. One of the funniest dudes I've ever met. To this day, nobody makes me laugh like him. Let's do it. Let's get him on. So he does the show, does a 6-minute set. The show airs. 3 months later, I get a phone call from him. He's like, hey, bro, are you going to be in Corpus Christi anytime soon? I said, I was there not too long ago, probably in about a year. What's up? He goes, I got paid $3,000, bro, to do a headlining set. I've never seen that kind of money in my life. I go, good for you. He goes, I don't have 45 minutes, Carlos. I go, I know. I did your act, bro. That's why I'm telling you. So if you go back there, maybe you should do some new stuff. Don't do your old shit. And I was like, the stuff from my HBO special? And he's like, well, yeah, most of that stuff. And I was like, are you serious, dude? He's like, I'm very serious. I was like, oh, God, I love you so much, bro. Yeah, whatever. I guess they're your training wheels. Move on. And so I never got upset about it, even though that happened to me even then. At that moment, you know what I thought? I thought, I'm just going to write new stuff and come up with a new special, and that was it, and move on. The great part of the story was that he then got picked up to do a USO tour for about 6 months. And little by little, right, he was becoming more himself and writing more of his own stuff. But at one point, somebody confronted him and were like, hey, I just want you to know. And he called me and told me this. He goes, there's a dude named Carlos Mencia that's doing your jokes. And I looked at him and I went, what did you fucking do? Did you at least tell him that that's my shit? He goes, bro, I freaked out. I don't know what to do. So I looked at him and I went, that motherfucker. I'm like, oh, you piece of shit. You dick. oh, you dick. And I was like, but we laugh at it. We laugh at it to this day. To this day, we laugh at it. And, you know, what he'll say to you is, one thing, I was new in the game. And when you don't know shit about stand-up comedy, you think you're supposed to share jokes. Because that's what you do in real life, right? Somebody comes and goes, hey, man, have you heard this joke? Dude walks into a bar, blah, 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 blah. What do you do with that? You go tell somebody else that joke, right? Somebody tells you a really funny story. What do? You tell somebody else that funny story. So he was conflating the two worlds, not understanding the stand-up world is different, bro. You don't do other people's jokes. That's professional. He didn't get that. Plus, he'll tell you right now, he goes, hey, listen, I stole a car. He said this in an interview one time. He goes, I stole a car and I got a year in jail and 5 years probation. I stole Carlos Mencia's material and I made over $150,000. And like that just brutal honesty, it was just, I can't shit on him. I can't hate on him. But I also think that, you know, comedians need to understand that, you know, we're going to influence others. We're going to make other people think and feel, you know, differently, or they're going to influence me. I'm going to influence them. This is the way the world works. But just focus on what you're doing, man. Like, you know, there is a way for you to shine without ever telling people, hey, that guy sucks, or that guy's bad, or that guy did this. And that's the stuff that I just don't care to engage in. And, you know, I never really did. So I'm grateful that I didn't go that route. But I'm you know, I don't think that we should be going there. Period.
Look, as someone who has gone through multiple canceled cycles already, sure. I'm on my third.
I'm on my eighth.
One. You're on your eighth? I think I'm on my third.
Okay.
Vlad is over. That's it. He's done his career. You know, no one's going to come interview with him anymore. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I've always held on to this philosophy. Unless they kill you or put you in prison, y'all ain't canceling shit.
Right.
That's how I really feel.
Right.
Yes, you might have a downtime. You might have a time where you got to lay low and not be as outspoken or whatever. But
Sure.
as long as you keep putting out quality material,
right,
people are going to forget about it next week.
Correct.
The people who didn't like you will still not like you. They'll have an extra piece of ammo not to like you. Oh, well, there's also this, and this is why I really don't like him. Whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You keep putting out material. You know, like you look at the 50 and Ja Rule beef. 50 managed to trick Ja Rule into thinking that all of his success, the way he sings on his songs and does girl songs, isn't what he should be doing.
Right.
So Ja Rule stopped doing it. He started doing songs like Clap Back and so forth.
And then he kind of just faded away.
Well, the reason why he became so popular, he stopped doing it, so he became less popular.
Baby.
Yeah, but people loved, you know.
Right.
You know, Always on Time was his biggest song. It's a love song. Well, I mean, it's a song about creeping, but whatever. It's still a love song in its own way.
Right.
You know, 50 turned around and started doing the same thing. Started doing songs like 21 Questions. You know, the stuff that he was making fun of Ja Rule for, 50 started doing himself and had huge success with it. If Ja Rule said, I don't give a shit about what this guy says, I'm going to go make another love song, and I'll go sell another platinum album.
Right.
And I may or may not address this, but I'm still going to not let this person take me off my pivot.
But you can't let him bother you, because at the end of the day, my biggest fear, so to speak, came true, that this joke stealing stuff is going to be so prolific for everybody that it's going to just become every comedian is going to get accused of stealing jokes. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. Every comedian is pretty much getting accused of this shit. And you know what it's actually doing? It's diminishing what we do. It's diminishing who we are as comedians. It's taking away the power, the beauty, the artistry of what we do. It's turning it into some really shitty, simplistic, oh, this guy can tell that joke. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. It's taken me sometimes years to perfect not just the joke, but the joke that I tell before, the joke that I tell right after, the joke in between, like to make the arch, to bring this 45 minutes to 1.5 hours of a beautiful movie. It's not that simple, and I hate that it's gotten there, and I hate that now because every comedian steals, Now every comedian is a simple joke thief piece of shit, and it has demeaned the art of what we do. And that was my fear.
Yeah, I remember TK Kirkland, after our interview, the comedians who were regulars on my show, I brought up your situation. And what TK said was, people have borrowed his catchphrases like "Who raised you?" like Katt Williams did in a special. He said he doesn't care. He said taking a joke during a routine is not a big deal if you're a real comedian. It's only a problem if you do a whole entire set that someone else did. That's when it's really a problem. But as you're firing off joke after joke, a minute here, minute and a half here, who cares? Everyone does it to a certain degree.
Because we're influenced by each other.
Exactly. And it's for someone to make a big deal out of it is childish. And I felt the same way. Listen, people, like my style of interviewing from behind the camera and so forth, it's been used by many successful YouTube channels.
Right.
And I take it as a compliment. The only time I ever had a problem with it was when this guy named Art of Dialogue, Art.
Yes.
When he was doing it, and my problem with him was that his thumbnails used the exact same font, and he didn't put his logo on there.
Right.
So people confused his interviews with mine.
Correct.
Right? So I had, taken a few shots at him and so forth, but at one point we got on the phone and I said, bro, like, I respect what you do. You're a great interviewer. You have great guests. You have guests that I wish I'd gotten. My only problem is the confusion. It's, and people have, people like academics have said, yeah, I've clicked on his stuff and whatever. And he goes, you're right, my bad. Moving forward, I'm going to put my logo up. Great. We're all good.
Easy.
We're all good. There's no beef.
Easy.
There's no, you stole from me.
Easy.
No, it was just like, I just didn't want the public to be confused. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And he understood that.
Yeah.
And he stopped doing it.
Right.
And we've been cool ever since.
Right.
But other than that, I didn't invent interviewing people from behind the camera. I didn't invent doing certain type of gangster interviews or whatever else. Like, I borrowed from like Don Diva and these gangster magazines and
we
so
all
forth.
come from somewhere.
We all borrow from something.
From somewhere.
I love 60 Minutes. I use their style when I try to figure out my line of questioning and so forth. We all borrow and and you should take it. I remember Too Short said it. He said, you should take it as a compliment. Whereas when you do fly shit and other people utilize it, you should take it as a compliment.
Yeah, you affected the world.
You've done something. People don't copy whack shit. People copy cool shit.
Right.
And that's how you should look at it and so forth. And I honestly think if Joe Rogan didn't become as big as he became, I almost think that whole situation where he ran on stage and so forth probably would have faded away. But he became a big entity in this space.
He also just got accused himself, so.
Oh, he got accused of stealing jokes?
Well, you don't know that?
No.
Pull it up.
I'm about to pull it up.
Oh, seriously? You didn't know about this? I'm sorry to the one to bring it up, bro, but.
Well, the way this is laid out is failed comedian Brendan Schaub takes credit for a line that sounds familiar. Is it Brendan Schaub?
Oh, Brendan Schaub, there it is. But yeah, he got accused of stealing.
Yeah, Joe
Schaub's
Rogan
jokes.
steals Brendan Schaub's joke.
There it is.
Yeah.
So this is what I didn't want. This is what, like, I thought. I don't want it to become this. You know what I mean? And so now I've had to tell people in my audiences sometimes.
This is the Netflix special.
Yes.
That's the way he did it.
The next special they just did.
that he just did.
So point being, like, the policeman of this, right? Policeman got caught with his hand in a cookie jar, if that's the case.
Wow.
And my point is that, like, whether what he did or didn't I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not getting involved in it. It's not my thing. But it's just like, this is what you started. This is what we started with all this bullshit.
What was the situation where you broke your TV? You said you saw a video of this. It was like a comedy show where someone had posted a video, and you said you got so mad you broke your TV.
Well, I've done that one a few times. So the ones recently were, so I've gotten this phone call 3 times. I can't say who they're from, but they were all producers. who basically said, all the phone calls were basically this: I'm calling to apologize. I was a fan. I believed them. I'm sorry. I started doing research at one point. I couldn't find all the evidence supposedly that you did this. And I want you to know that at one point a few years ago, there was a TV pilot, two of them were TV pilots, one of them was a movie that the other producers wanted you to be a part of, and I made sure you were not a part of it, and I regret it, and I'm sorry, and I hope you forgive me. They didn't call with a part. They didn't call with, hey, but I wrote some shit for you. It was literally, and absolved me from how shitty I feel as a human being for treating you that way. And I did. Of course, I know what that pain is. I know what it's like to live with shit like that. So I said, yeah, man, you know, you big of you to call, blah, 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 blah. As soon as we hung up, that phone was just up against the wall. 3 times, bro. Splattered everywhere. It's just that's all I can do, right? That's why if you ever in my house, bro, and I'm watching Real Madrid play soccer, just leave me the fuck alone, because that is where I purge all my emotions.
Oh.
Watching those games. I mean, we'll miss, like, you know, they'll shoot a ball and miss it by, like, you know, whatever, and you will think that I lost my mother. You know what I mean? The way I act, you'll think, wow, he must have $1 billion on this game. It's just the one place where I can let all that emotion, that anger, that frustration, that thing, that joy into a place, into a space and time. But yeah, that kind of stuff is like, man, it pissed me off. Like, and there's nothing I could do about it other than say something mean to them and tell them and make them feel more guilty about what they did. But what's the point of that? Like, seriously, what's the point of that? I now have the ability to either heal this person's wounds or help them heal, or stick in the knife a little more. Who am I? I'm not gonna stick you with a knife. I'm just not gonna do that. But I hated that it came to this, man. I hated that all this has come to this point where people are talking about, look, everybody's influenced by the world. That's the way it is, right? If that wasn't the case, we'd still be cavemen, because we wouldn't have been influenced by the first guy who created a wheel. We'd have been like, well, I don't want to do a wheel. Somebody else did that. No, that's not how it works. Somebody did a wheel, then somebody did this, and somebody levitated, somebody did, you know what I mean? Then somebody said, hey, we could put a train and put, you know, electrostat. Oh, we could do, okay, you know what I mean? We could put magnetics. Oh, we could do like, there's always a way, and the only way to go forward beyond is to look back at what it was that we had. And so I just feel like people are being stuck on the wrong thing. Go and enjoy. Listen, it's like music, right? There's the immigrant song, right? There's Papa Roach, it's the same lick. And then there's Green Day, those are the same meters.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Dun, 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 dun. It's the same. One of them is dun, 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 the other one is dun, 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 dun. Same thing, right? Who's the first one who did it? I don't know. Which one was the right one? I don't know. I know all 3 songs. I like all 3 songs. That's it. Like, can you enjoy what you enjoy? And that's it. Can you, like, I hate Vlad. Then don't fucking listen.
Yeah.
But why do you want me to not listen to some shit? How arrogant, how fucking arrogant are these people that they feel that their opinion is so relevant and important that the rest of us, oh, you don't like that person? Well, I guess I don't either. And you don't like lilies? I guess I won't like lilies either. And you like penis? Well, I like vagina, but you know what? I'm gonna go suck a dick too. Fuck it, let's just do it. What are you talking about? This is stupid.
Yeah.
It's dumb. Let it go. If you don't like something, then go find. You know what it's like? It's like the people that come to my social media just to say stupid negative shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, if you hate me, why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you not somewhere
And a lot
nice?
of times they're following you as well.
But that's the weird.
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 houses. In one house, when I walk in, they berate me, they talk shit about me, they punch me in the face, pull my pants down, and shove a plunger in my ass. In the other one, I find joy, love, happiness, and acceptance. Why the fuck would I walk into the one where they're gonna do that to me?
Right.
That's what these people are doing. They're coming into an environment where all I have to do is tell my fans, did you see this shit? And they're all gonna go, fuck this guy. Like, why? It's only pain for you.
Right. But you know what I realized? I mean, number one, social media and the real world are not the same thing.
No.
I get hated on social media, and when I walk outside, it's rare that I could walk outside and someone not stop me and ask for a picture, tell me how much they love my stuff and so forth.
Right.
And someone actually pointed this out to me recently. I thought about it. I think it's actually true. The people who are hated the most on social media are the most popular when they actually go in real life.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Think about that.
Yeah.
How often, with all the online hate that you've had, how often do people walk up to you to express that hate in person?
In person, none. But
See?
I have experienced the hearing people talk about me that they don't know that I'm there. That I've done.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm saying when they
No.
actually meet you.
Oh, no, it's the opposite.
That's the reality. That's the brain fuck that, like, you really, the mind fuck that you have to get around when you're a public figure, that, like, it's actually not that. These same people that are saying the worst things about you, when they meet you, they'll probably ask for a photo. And since they have a picture of a cat in their profile, you don't know who they are.
Right.
So they are hiding behind whatever permanently. So yeah, those people, I'm telling you, the most hated people on the internet are the most popular in real life.
Yep.
And I've yet to see evidence of the opposite.
Well, listen, I experienced exactly what you're saying. I was walking behind four guys that were all they were talking about going to see me perform that night. It was in downtown Denver. Yeah. So we were walking down the street, and I hear him go, "Hey, let's go see Carlos." Yeah, let's go see him. And then one guy was like, "Oh, that guy. Negative, right?"
Yeah.
I tap him on the shoulder. I go, "Hey, bro, why are you trying to make it so that they don't come and see me perform?" Bro, oh my God. Dude, I love you, dog. Get the camera, bro. Let's take a picture. You know we're going to the show, right?
Did
they go to the show?
And they
ended up at the show.
They went up to the
Of
show.
course they did. Of course they did.
They spent their money.
Of course they did. But here's my problem with that moment. I was there, so I was able to crack the stupidity of it, and they came to the show. Had I not been there, they might not have gone to the show, right? Yeah. Had I not been there, that one guy complaining might have made them go, all right, let's go do something else.
Yeah, but who cares?
It's not
It's
that
just, it's just three people.
It's not even
out
that.
of the thousands that you perform in front of.
It's not even that. It's the fact that these people don't understand the effect that they have, right? It's no, because at other times, bro, listen, I am truly grateful. And I hope this doesn't come off as arrogant. I'm just trying to be very descriptive. But I am glad in many ways that all the shit that went down with me happened to me. Because as a comedian, I can tell you right now, bro, that I know a bunch of my friends that either would have quit comedy or hurt themselves through either alcohol, drugs, or actual hurting themselves. Because this stuff does affect human beings. This stuff does make a difference. This stuff does have an effect. Maybe 4 people here, 3 people there, 2 people there. There's a reason for this stuff.
Okay, so for example, me and D.L. Hughley, we had this debate recently when he came on my show. Not the same situation, but there is the whole cancel aspect of it.
Sure.
Michael Richards.
Yes.
From Seinfeld.
I know.
When he had that whole racist rant.
Correct.
I don't know, what was it? This was maybe, 18 years ago or something like that?
This was 2006, I believe it was.
Yeah, like 18 years ago.
Yeah.
He essentially stop doing stand-up. Stop being in movies, TV shows. And I personally feel if he had said, listen, I messed up. I am so sorry, but I'm going to keep touring. I'm going to keep doing shows and so forth. I felt that he could have maintained a career and kind of, you know, as long as he admitted to it and so forth. And, you know, DL said, well, no, he wasn't a big enough star and so forth. But I'm like, well, Seinfeld is a major show and he was a key character on that show.
Right.
How do you feel? Do you feel that he canceled himself or do you think he got canceled?
Well, I don't know, chicken or the egg on that one. I don't know that he tried to come back. I don't know that he tried. So, could he have found a group of people in this country that he could perform for with that kind of language? Yes.
Well, no, I'm not
How
saying
big
to
of an
keep
audience?
doing
No.
that.
Now, the problem with what he did was this, that he said it out of anger.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the problem.
That is a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Right.
It's not the same as saying, you know, it's not the same as saying, you know, this N-word guy pulled a gun on me and you know what I'm saying? Like a descriptive thing. This was him screaming.
Yeah, but look at, for
right?
example,
Screaming.
look at
blankers. I mean, that
okay,
was
but look, for
hardcore.
example, country music star Morgan Wallen
Yes.
used the N-word.
Yes.
His label suspended his contract.
Yes.
For I don't know, a week
Correct.
or whatever else.
Yeah.
He's huge now.
Yes.
He's bigger than he ever was.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Not in anger, though. Not in anger. Not yelling at him. Not telling him. Not saying. He literally, Michael Richards basically said, you guys are opening your mouths because you're fucking. And he didn't just say that. He said fucking N-words.
Well,
That's
Morgan Wallen said.
Hard to
Morgan
overcome,
Wallen
bro.
said, "Hey, take care of this pussy ass motherfucker. Take care of this pussy ass N-word."
Yeah. Not the same as what he did in anger.
Justin Bieber had a song called "One Less Lonely N-Word."
Yeah.
And he even went on to say, if I was the Ku Klux Klan, I would have to kill you. Like, he made a song out of it.
Yeah.
And look, he's still the biggest. Every black artist went and worked with him afterwards, and everyone forgave him, and he had a roast where they brought it up and so forth.
Yeah. But it
You can
wasn't.
say, oh, well, you can keep saying, oh, but this was different. Oh, he was a kid, so this is different.
It is, though.
But
It's
I honestly think,
I'm telling you that.
man,
listen,
look at what's his name? Mel Gibson.
yeah.
Now that was done in anger. Remember, he was on the phone with his baby mother and said, "I hope you get, raped by a pack of N-words."
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That came out.
Yeah. But he wasn't talking to them. He was talking to his wife. I'm telling you.
I think these are.
There's something very, very different about making black comments, saying black stuff, and there's a huge, 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 huge difference, right, between doing a song like that and saying the way he said it. Listen, it's just hard to get over this because you're fucking. I'm telling you, bro, that phrase, the way I said it, I don't know that you can get past that. And if you can, it's rough, bro. It is rough. It took me all this time to go. I'm just gonna say it so you feel it because that's what he did. It wasn't a comment.
Yeah.
It wasn't these guys. It wasn't hey, well, you should get banged by a pack of. It was that while they were being looked at. That's tough, bro. You could be right, by the way.
Listen,
I don't think so.
I think that it's much easier to give up and just go into hiding than to actually go through the steps of saying, you know something, I'm going to put myself out there again and people are going to attack me and talk shit and I'm going to have to just humble myself and say, I fucked up. I fucked up. I'm very sorry and I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah, but if you're able to say that, that's going to take therapy, bro. That's not going to come out
Hey, man, I'm in therapy
the
right
day
now.
of. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to therapy
Yeah,
and
but it's
find
been 24 years.
why you
Clearly,
said that,
he's
how you said
listen,
that.
it's been 24 years at this point.
Oh, no, today, I think. But
Yeah.
you were
But not
talking
24
about like
years, but yeah,
then.
18 years, yeah.
Could he come back now and be like, hey, I've gone through therapy, I've done all this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
I went to
now he
rehab. I did this. Whatever.
Then,
Whatever.
I don't think then, no matter what he said, bro. I don't listen.
Yeah.
One of my biggest regrets was I pitched something about that never got made. So here was my idea during Mind and Mencia when that occurred.
Oh, that happened at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So I wanted to do a sketch where I come in as, or I didn't know who I was going to be, just spin it. But it was going to be a sketch where we found a lost episode
Of Seinfeld?
Seinfeld. And Jerry runs in and starts telling Jerry, these people moved in next door. They're kind of different. And Jerry, his catchphrase, who are these people? So it was going to be him going, who are these people? And then him trying to tell him that he's black without saying that he's black. So the sketch was written that at first it was like, they like chicken, they like watermelon, they got big penises. You know what I mean? Little by little, just getting more and more ethnic. And Jerry keeps going, who are these people? And then at one point, he snaps. And I was literally going to take the exact words that he said on the video right after he said, because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And put that in there. And yeah, Comedy Central wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me do it, dude.
They said, nope, sorry.
They were like, oh, we can't do it. But bro, that would have been hysterical. That would have been so good and so in the moment and so like one of those things where I knew I was gonna get immediate respect for, because it's gonna get beefed anyway, right? We're not even gonna say it. They wouldn't even have to say it. He could have said naggers and we just would have beefed it. It wouldn't have mattered, right? Like in the actual shooting in of itself. I just thought that it was really, really funny to have his exact words in that moment in the last episode, but they wouldn't let me do it. But I get it, bro. I was, I've been surrounded by that kind of stuff, more than once. Like I said, it's happened before. So,
well, I just want to end it with this. You actually, as someone who has gone through your cancel phase and everything else like that, you currently have a residency at Harrah's Las Vegas, Sunday, Monday nights.
Yeah, I know, bro.
Through early 2025. I might take a trip down there. Come see you.
We're actually negotiating for going to the summer. I mean, it's been amazing, bro.
Dope.
It has been something that I haven't felt in a very long time. And I don't think that I've ever felt it, because when Mind and Mencia came out, I was popular, so people came out. But right now what I'm getting with this is a level of respect that I didn't get before. Somebody came to see me perform the other day and we were packed, and he came up to me and he was like, I thought you'd been canceled, bro. I'm like, what do you think? He goes, that shit out there don't look like you're canceled, bro. That shit looks like you're killing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, we're doing well, but it's that I think that, I stayed above the fray. I didn't go down into the gutter. I didn't come here to air my grievances about all these comedians that have done wrong on me. I'm not, had you not brought up all that stealing stuff, I probably wouldn't have brought up Rogan. I thought you already knew. But
no, I didn't.
The fact that he gets accused of stealing is just ironic on a level that is incredible, but that's not what bothers me. Like I said, what bothers me is that everybody all of a sudden is taking what we do and turning it into something so simple that we could just, we're like Legos. Like, oh no, I don't got a red one. You got a white one? Yeah, it's the same shit. Like that's right. Not how the art works. And so the respect that I'm getting as an artist in Vegas, across the board, by the way, like everywhere, it is something that I hadn't felt this in a long time. I mean, we went to Guy Fieri's, right? And not only so the first time we went, Guy wasn't there, but they bring like extra food. So I'm like, I think you messed up. I don't think we ordered this. And they're like, oh, no. This is yours, but would you mind going in the kitchen? Because the guys in the kitchen want to talk to you. So everybody in the kitchen was a fan of mine.
Nice.
And they all wanted to take a picture and do stuff. And they all were like, listen, we told Guy you're here, and he told us and you don't have to pay for anything. And
nice. He's
going to be here next day, and he wants to do this. And it's like that kind of respect I hadn't gotten I haven't felt it, at least, in a really long time.
Well, yeah, you also have a stand-up tour called No Hate, No Fear.
At the same time.
Same time.
So I do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then I fly to Vegas to do Sunday and Monday. And then I'm exhausted, bro. Exhausted.
Hey, man, but you're doing what you love to do. You're making money.
Listen, man. I mean, listen. The journey has been arduous. Let's be real, bro.
Yeah.
Listen, there was a period of time in the history of comedy in America where you had to defend why you liked me, because hating me was just the thing, right? Disliking me was the thing. Having no respect for me personally as a comedian and as a human being was a thing. And if you said, well, I'm friends with Carlos, they would have shit on you at the time. They would have come up to you at the time. They would have berated you. They would have I have friends that tried to post things and they had to take them down because they were like, bro, I love you. I can't fight your fight, bro. I cannot deal with that. I cannot deal with all these negatives. I don't know how you do it. So to have gone from that to every single show I've done so far, every single one, somebody will come up to me and say, best show we've seen on the Strip.
That's what's up.
And I'm like, funny? They're like, no, best show. And I have to qualify it and go, come on, guys. You cannot compare me to, a spectacular with, you know what I mean? Water and fire and flames. I mean, come on, guys. Yeah. And I've said that to some of them and they're like, yeah, that's great and awesome. But I literally am in pain right now, bro, from laughing. My stomach hurts. My jaws hurt. I left over there. It was pretty cool. Right now, I can't even talk. That's how great. So yeah, being able to be on this side of it and know that I did it by elevating myself, by being myself, by showing people what I do, and never focusing on don't like that person because they don't like me. Like me, don't like them. Never went there, never had to. And so this time around, it just feels different. It feels deeper. It feels more emotional. It feels deserved in a way that it didn't before, And it's an awesome space to be, bro. I'm loving it. It's great. Like I said, I just wish that all this comedian choke stealing shit ended with all comedians. Just do what you do, be great at what you do, and let people like or dislike you for who you are. Stop dictating to others who they should like and why they should like. And this, it sounds weak. It feels petty. It feels insecure. And I just wish people didn't see what we do as that, because you know what? It is not easy today, especially, to write material about real life and say things like I said in this interview and not be sucked in by the fact that I know that if you edited this weird or you put it out there, you can make it sound like I'm just in here ranting the N-word in anger. You know what I mean? And so I just want people to understand how difficult it is for us to do what we do, how difficult it is for what we talk about, how difficult it is for us to navigate that. Something happened with my wife earlier today. I'm going to have to talk about it. My wife's going to hear the joke at one point. There's going to be a problem there somewhere. There's going to be an issue. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be there. And yet at that moment in time, right? Who do I pick? Do I pick my wife that I love? Or do I choose what I do for a living that I've always done and told the truth? She's just in it. Do I pretend it wasn't her? Just little shit like that, let alone how to put it together, how to piece telling a joke that right now is funny, is going to be funnier then and funnier then and funnier then. How many times do I point? I do a joke where I point with my mouth, right? I go like that. Gets a huge laugh. From that point on, I could keep doing that. How many times do I do it? How many times is too much? How many points do I get? Little shit like that. let alone the contrived. And the fact that people are disrespecting it online because of all this plagiarism as if it's easy is just annoying to me. So come and see the shows, and then I get that respect. And that's where I live. I'm like, fuck, thank God they see it. Thank God they see what I'm doing. They see what it is. They respect it. And so there's a that has been inside me for over a decade that just dissipated.
That's what it is. Carlos Mencia, man. Appreciate you coming back. Our newest regular guest.
Always,
we'll
baby.
see you here again. Till next time. Peace.
I don't eat dogs.